Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. This meeting is now called to order. Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Walker.
Present.
Ms. Heinrich.
Here.
Mr. Rosinto.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
I myself am here. President Weems.
I'm here.
We are all present.
We will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We will now call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Let me pause for a second. I wonder if we should do junior optimists first before public comment. Can we amend the agenda to do junior optimists before? To move item
6.
at 6:08.
Okay. So we're setting our motion.
Yes. Yes.
Since it was supported.
Yes, Mr. Walker rescinds his motion, and we'll make another motion.
Motion to amend our agenda, moving item 6A1, the Optimist Club update, to the beginning of our agenda and the remainder of the agenda as presented.
Support. Motion made by Mr. Walker to amend the agenda to move the district update for the Optimist Club update to item 3, just above public comment. Is there any discussion? Seconded by, was it you, Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, that action will be taken, and the agenda is approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is approved, and that action will be taken. We will have the Junior Optimist update just before public comment. All right, with that said, we will now move to announcements. I just wanted to comment on a few things. First, the board recognizes that we've had a significant number of emails from staff regarding the custodial contract currently under consideration. The concerns raised have primarily centered on some very important issues. One, the impact of current custodial staff, and questions about cleanliness and quality should contracted services be utilized. I know that there have been lots of questions by board members. Some of them have been answered. There are some questions still outstanding, so I'm looking forward to a healthy discussion today. Likely, given the amount of questions that have yet to be answered, unless they can be answered during this meeting, we may extend the conversation into our next meeting. I want to be very clear, excuse me, that the board deeply appreciates the feedback. I personally read, as have my colleagues, all of the emails. It is our practice that the board president responds on behalf of the entire board. Sometimes board members will individually respond, but we've all read the emails, and it is generally our practice to have one person respond on behalf of the entire board. These issues affect real people and real conditions, and we don't take them lightly. We understand that this is a difficult decision, and we understand the anxiety that these discussions can create. And so we're going to have some really good discussion here. We're not going to rush the discussion. We want to make sure that we're making the right decision. It's also important to provide a little context. The district was required to put this contract out for bid. This is not something that the district is just doing randomly. We're required to do this because the current contract is ending. So this is not being done arbitrarily or without purpose. As part of that process, the district learned that there could be savings should the district decide to go a different route. That level of savings needs to be weighed very carefully against the concerns that have been raised. Again, the board has some additional questions, and we remain concerned about the welfare and well-being of our current staff, so I look forward to a thoughtful and respectful discussion later on in this meeting. Next, I wanted to just announce that there's been Considerable discussion regarding recent federal actions related to DEI initiatives. I wanted to clarify that the federal DEI ban that was raised concerns earlier this year has since been dropped and is deemed unenforceable. In that ruling, a judge affirmed that educators must be free to teach and other, especially where there are subjects related to race, gender, and values related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those things naturally arise, and those that teaching must be done without fear of arbitrary or discriminatory enforcement. Educators, rather than politics, belong at the center of conversations around teaching and learning. That said, broader debates around DEI at the national and state level will likely continue, and the Board of Education remains committed to ensuring that all of our students' needs are met equitably and that our schools remain places where every child can be seen, supported, and able to learn. I also wanted to acknowledge that there continues to be public debate and concern related to sex education. To reiterate what I've previously stated, while the state of Michigan updated its standards in 2025, Farmington Public Schools did not change its education curriculum. If we were to change our curriculum, we would do that and approve it as a board. That has not happened. We have not made any changes. We are not teaching kindergartners or young elementary students any inappropriate content, despite repeated claims made during meetings here. At the elementary school level, particularly in the younger grades, instruction focuses on age-appropriate topics, including keeping hands to oneself, understanding personal boundaries, and recognizing that private parts are private. As a reminder, the district's sex education curriculum is available for parent review. Parents always have the option to opt their child out of sex education instruction. If there are ongoing concerns about what is required at the state level, those conversations are most appropriately directed to state policymakers. Families also retain the right to make educational choices that align with their values. I also wanted to make mention that student achievement remains at the top of the Board of Education's priorities. We look forward to a review of the district's latest data and a robust conversation and celebration, frankly, related to improvements we're seeing, along with what the data tells us about where we need to make continuous improvements. I want to thank the Junior Optimist Club and the Optimist Club for joining us earlier today for some coffee. Well, we did have coffee and cookies and conversation. It was the first this year of what we intend to be more regular touch points with members of our community to engage. I want to remind everyone that we have also a community conversation scheduled for this Saturday at 9 a.m. At Blue Hat. For community members to come out and connect with the board and have some conversations. We also continue our Parent Ambassador Network. I'm really excited about meetings being scheduled there, and those are all helping to further our board goals around community engagement. I think that was our 4th board goal. So with that said, that ends my announcements. I'd like to ask the Junior Optimist to come up, and just for the public's sake, I wanted to make sure that our young people can get home and get their homework done. I noticed that we have a large number of people in the room for public comment, so if you could bear with us for a brief update from the Junior Optimist Club, we'll then move to our normal agenda item, which is public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Push the button here.
Yes, you may.
Help me on. Help me with the button.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Let's see, right here.
Oh, that button.
Yeah, let's see.
We'll get this thing working yet.
All right, Joe, where are you? Let me just.
Okay, while we're working on the slides,
They'll bring them up for you.
let me introduce myself. I'm Tom Neal with the Farmington Hills
Look at that.
Optimist Club. Pardon?
Yeah,
Oh, we
and
got
if you could
sign-
speak into the microphone too, so that the folks at home
All
can
right.
hear you. Thank you.
All right, I'm actually, it's international. We're going to talk a little bit about all this, but we have the largest public school operation in the state of Michigan, and also one of the largest, as far as I know, in the country. We have 348 kids in the program in elementary, middle school, and high school. So it's one of the greatest programs going. and we're going to go through the slides, and I'm going to let, now, by the way, these are some of the people that are now, they're not only in our clubs, but they also are the ones that represent the Michigan, because all the officers from Michigan came from us. And so I'm going to ask the officers to go ahead and do it. Vaibhav is the governor of the state. She's a lieutenant governor, and she's the secretary treasurer. So we've got the board people there, right? Okay. Mardula, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. We'll be briefly talking about our leadership roles and other events that have happened throughout this year and future events that we will hold in this near future.
Okay, so how do we get people to do this? First of all, we want to get them into the program. So what we've found is we need somebody, and particularly teachers, to be leaders to help get them started. So we start them in the elementary schools, but they don't really do much leadership there. They start learning about it. In the middle schools, they start getting some little experience, but in the high schools, by that time, they've learned to run the program and focused on community service projects. And they're going to talk about some of those. What's the button we're pushing here? Oh, there. Cool. You can see this is Vaibhav here, we got Mardula here, and we got Bella here. And so we started off with a canoe, kayak thing, and that kind of builds togetherness. It worked. All right, so here's the bottom line. Leadership development through social interaction, doing community service. That's how that works. And so the more they do that, the more they learn, and they interact, and it works. And that's really the core of what we do. This was created by some students about, 5, 10 years ago. It's a good piece that talks about how you recruit, how you retain, how you do these things. So that's one of our teaching things. If you look at the school system, we're in all of them, and so the graduation flows goes that way, but the leadership development continues as they go, and then of course the mentorship, they mentor those and help get others into it. So that's kind of how that works. Then this is how it's set up. The district is Michigan, and then the international president. Now last year we had a guy 2 years ago running for president from North Farmington High School. Didn't quite make it, but his other guy that was running did get into the vice president at the national level, one of these international vice presidents. We run a sample agenda, and this is just kind of showing you kind of what we're teaching, how to get some of that interplay and working with people. They elect officers and all that sort of thing. So that's part of the training program. These are some of the past projects. And we'll you want to start talking about some of this, or just go ahead?
So some of the,
Here, you got to talk into the microphone.
so one of our most highlighted events that we've done was the Warm Clothing Drive, which was held at Farmington High School and North Farmington. We took all collections, I'm so sorry. We took over 100 plus donated items and donated them all to Oakland Foster Closet.
Yeah. So we've had other past events as well. At FHS, we're very recently ended, I'm pretty sure, the shoe drive, which they also donated. We have cards for first responders, which is a very common activity within our community at the libraries and whatnot. And then we hold state JOI meetings. One of the most recent ones was a couple weeks ago, where we talked with the people from other districts, and we just shared our ideas, what our individual school clubs have done. I believe we met with Southfield, and we met with a new supervisor from another school district, and we're just getting involved with how other school districts are working and what kind of improvements they need from us and what we can do for them, essentially. And we have future events, which we will talk about in a short while. Milkweed for Monarchs, the Kidney Foundation Zoo Walk, which is in May, the Memorial Day Parade, which is coming up very soon, and we have a new announcement for a weekly newsletter that we will incorporate into the school newsletters that the parents receive every week.
So Milkweed for Monarchs is a new kind of project that we've decided to take on this year, and it's come from our desire to highlight some of the environmental disparities occurring here in Michigan. So as you know, I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the monarchs. They're actually native here in Michigan, as every year they have to do a migration from Northern America all the way to the southern North America of Mexico. And we wanted to highlight how community service isn't only just going to soup kitchens and helping out at schools. You can also do it by helping the environment itself, because it highlights that sort of unity that comes from working together, like through planning and things like that. So milkweed is actually a native plant here in Michigan, and there's been a lowering population in the monarchs recently since the 1990s, and we wanted to address that by gathering our community here and going out in areas here in Farmington and planting milkweed plants to sort of help promote that.
Okay.
I remember being at Longacre in 4th grade, and we released a couple of butterflies into our playground, and that was one of my earliest memories with working with the environment and things like that. So it was one of the projects that is very close to our hearts and how we want to benefit with like road cleanings and things like that. So we're going to get the high schools especially involved with it, and possibly the elementary and middle schoolers to come work at the FHS courtyard and things like that. So stay tuned for updates. And we have the Kidney Foundation Zoo Walk at the Detroit Zoo, which is in May, the 16th and the 17th. The 16th is the setup and the 17th is the actual event at 8:45 a.m. And there is zoo access, and it is a full fundraiser for, I believe, $485,000 in total. And that is like the goal for this year. It is the Kidney Foundation's biggest fundraiser of the entire year. It was one of the main contributors to their overall monetary goal. And I ask that if you are available, then please come join us at the Detroit Zoo on May 17th.
Well, you want to talk a little bit? We try to partner with groups, and that's how we get a lot done. You know, if you work with these people, you also find out ways to help the community, and of course, these people are in the community. Did you want to take a slide or two?
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of these,
Let's move it on.
now, we talked about community. Some people may say that the community is just Farmington Hills, but, you know, the purpose of the state board is to try and grow that community and make it encompass all of Michigan. And to do that, we need communication. And this is just a couple of the communication methods we have used. So we have a state board email. You know, we have a group me for the Michigan Junior Optimist District. We have an Instagram run by Bella, actually. And then we also have a website set up. And on top of that, we are going to start a newsletter, which will talk about all of our events. And Medulla is going to expand on that a little.
Yeah, so the newsletter, we already are giving out a weekly one that Mr. O'Neill is sending out to the entire state and people who are signed up for it. But one of the problems that we found in the system is that we're not actually having supervisors as teachers. A lot of them are parents, and we're not getting their contact information. Recently, I went back to STEAM, which is the middle school that I went to, and I was trying to look for the supervisor at the Junior Optimist Club at STEAM, and my counselor told me that she doesn't know who the supervisor is. She's never met her before. So that was one of the problems that I found. Like, if we want to build a community-based club, then I need to have this communication with the school and get them directly involved, and I don't want to have to, you know, talk through multiple people to get to them. So one of the solutions that I have is bringing our events to the school newsletters that the parents receive every Friday. At Farmington and North Farmington, there is a weekly counseling letter, as we call it, and in that there are scholarships, school events, upcoming community events as well. So I thought that it would be beneficial to put our events in there as well, as it would give people volunteer hours and just bring our club to a better light for parents as well, because a lot of parents are not actually very knowledgeable about our club. So I feel like if they were to know it, then they would also get involved and our club would expand, and therefore a community would also thrive.
Well, we also do some other things as optimists. We have a essay contest and an oratorical contest. This is not through the Junior Optimists. This is just through any school system, anybody in the city tomorrow morning, we're going to actually award these essay contest winners $500, $150, and $50 for 3 for middle school and 3 for high school. So we do those other things. If you wanted to join, there's a way to join, and we do that. I don't have time for questions because you've got a short time frame here, but just trying to show you how we've divvied up the state by these lieutenant governors and such, so that's kind of helpful. We have a lot of other events we do throughout the year. Kind of hard to read that one, but anyway, we're always active, and of course we always end with the Optimist Creed, and this creed is what has attracted a lot of people to join our club. But before we end, I do want to make a presentation, and this is a T-shirt. This T-shirt, we design T-shirts. We have a design contest, and every year I ask the kids to design the T-shirt, and then we'll print it up, and then of course they got to pay $20 to get it, but that's all right. But the bottom line is, this was a 5th grader that did this T-shirt, and it's amazing that they come up with the things, and my gosh, it works. On the back is our logo and everything. So, Kelly, this is for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation. I would ask the board members if they have questions, but we had a great opportunity to meet with you about a half an hour beforehand, and got a lot of our questions answered. Thank you for all of the work that you do. Thank you for being the largest club in our area and the largest junior optimist club in the state and maybe even the nation, right, with 348 of our young people doing really great things. And thank you, young people, for coming in and talking with us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move to public comment. There are 2 opportunities to make public comment, but you may only make public comment one time. We put public comment on the agenda twice so that people can either come at the beginning of the meeting or the end of the meeting, or towards the end of the meeting, so you have one opportunity. Excuse me. During the public comment portion of the meeting, members are welcome to address the board. Please address the board and not the audience. Each person will be given 2 minutes to speak, given that we have a larger number of people here today. A timer on the screen will display the countdown for you. We ask that you, again, address your comments into the microphone so that you can be heard. If your comment is related to a student or a staff member, please use caution in stating names of individuals where protection of their privacy might be more appropriate. The board will respectfully listen to comments, but generally the board does not respond. In some cases, it might be appropriate for someone to respond or to follow up with you separately to address a concern. If you want to make public comment, we have public comment cards in the back. We just ask that you put your name on the card, and then you can put it in the ceramic bowl in front of Ms. Culling Scripture's podium or desk there. The first public comment I have is from Charlie Gorelnik. Thank you so much for that spelling. I appreciate it. That's fantastic, because I butchered it before.
It's okay.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie Gorelnik, and I'm a representative of the local high school robotics team here in Farmington, the Hackbots. Here tonight with some more updates from the team. Good news, this week we are almost completely done with the mechanical and electrical aspects of our robot, meaning we have all of our design, fabrication, and wiring completely done, which means that in the coming weeks, leading towards our competitions at the end of March and the beginning of April, we are putting an extremely large emphasis on programming and strategy in order to make our robot much more competitively viable. I'm also here tonight, once again, to share the entire team's gratitude and excitement towards the STEM edition outside of Farmington High. Especially now, as ground is being broken and real progress is being made, the entire team is getting much more excited and much more thankful for your decision to build this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Allison Gay, followed by Jenny Krager.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board tonight. My name is Allison Gay. As a district parent for the past 12 years and an employee of the district for 6 years, I have observed numerous transitions. I firmly believe that investing in our Farmington Public Schools staff is a direct investment in our students. The proposed outsourcing of employees who are on the front lines of our buildings daily is not in the best interest of the FPS community. Our current employees demonstrate loyalty to the students, staff, and community, a commitment that contracted personnel who lack a vested interest in being part of our team may not share. I do not believe a contracted service provider will offer the same quality of service as staff members who are aligned with our vision and goals. Offering current employees the opportunity to reapply for their positions while incurring a loss of benefits and support is contradictory to our stated model of attract, recruit, and keep quality personnel. Though a contracted company may offer the same pay rate, and I appreciate that we were able to get them to agree to that, the comprehensive benefits package, including health coverage costs and vacation and sick time accruals, will inevitably differ. To ensure the best outcomes for our students and staff, we must maintain the highest standards. If the projected annual savings from outsourcing are $1 million, I request further clarification on the intended allocation of these funds and how it will directly benefit students. As a proud member of Farmington Public Schools, I feel disappointment that we are considering the loss of our dedicated employees in favor of contractual services. I maintain a strong belief in our staff, students, and community, and this proposed option suggests a divergence from that shared commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could reduce, I'm sorry, if we could reduce the applause in the audience, I don't mean to be rude, but we do want to make sure that we get to hear everyone. We have Jenny Krager next, and then Eugene Greenstein.
Hi, my name is Jenny Krager. I'm the secretary of Longacre Elementary School. Thank you for letting me come up today. I'm speaking on behalf of our custodial staff, who are amazing in this district. We do not have the schools that we do if it weren't for our custodians. They're staying late, they work hard, they shovel snow, they clean up throw up, they clean up poop, feces, toilets, they replenish toilet paper, anything.
Turn your mic off. Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay. What they do, they go above and beyond every day to be able to make sure that our schools are sparkling. I was a part of the district when we went through a part-time custodian group from before it was about 4 or 5 years ago, and we noticed a huge difference within 3 months of the schools. The conditions of the tables, the conditions of the, in our kindergarten classes were filthy. There were layers of dirt that were just accumulating, and it was just downright gross. Like you'd go into a restroom and you look around and you're like, where's the pride in our district? Why are we pretending that these people aren't important? And I just want to bring that to your attention, that we are concerned from a building level that you might be looking at our custodians who are working hard. And Elsie Hall, our Longacre, is one of the best custodians that we've ever seen. Our school has never been cleaner because of her. And when she came on as a full-time FPS employee, she was excited. She was glad to be part of our community, glad to be part of the way that we look at school. We wouldn't be able to do it without her or without any of these people that are here tonight. Please just reconsider about the ramifications of moving forward to something that's part-time, people who aren't invested, people who are just going to give up and say, well, it's just a job, I don't really care. I feel like Farmington employees care, and we need to make sure that we remember that when you're making this decision. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Eugene Greenstein, followed by Ian Gibbons.
Well, I practiced, and it was 2 minutes and 59 seconds. So I have a handout. I think you can read it. First of all, I want to thank you for the upcoming meeting where we'll have an in-depth discussion on academic excellence and testing and all that. That sort of gets at some of the things I mentioned, so I'm not going to try to be redundant. There are three main topics I wanted to talk about. One, and it all has to do with academic excellence. One is about benchmarking. There are opportunities to go understand from a process point of view, what are people doing that makes them successful? Not necessarily the curriculum, but how they teach, how they organize, et cetera. And those are golden nuggets. So that's one point. We've mentioned in the past, and I still believe, we need an academic excellence subcommittee, and there should be some community members on it. 3 minutes isn't enough, and certainly 2 minutes isn't. And then I think there was a lot of good detail that Dr. Coffin provided, and that just, if you show detail to an engineer, you're going to get a lot of questions. And I think it showed that we're understanding the problems. We're making changes on the fly. Maybe fly is the wrong word. But that's part of the question. Why are we making some of these changes, and what's the basis for it, that we're using good practices in doing that? Clearly, there's a lot of understanding needed in the testing. What's the testing mean? What does it mean to have growth versus a more absolute number like M-step? When I look at the data, it's still bouncing around a lot. We need to stabilize it. We need to get it moving in the right direction, and we're doing, I think, a lot of good things. And so I'll just end by saying I'm glad to see the progress being made, and I've been donged out.
Thank you, Mr. Greenstein. Ian Gibbons is next, followed by Carrie Kelly.
Hello, I'm also with the Hackbots. I have another update for us that some of us recently got to see another robotics team out in Detroit, Team 8280 K9 Robotics, who we were on a team with last year at one of our first competitions, and they let us come out and use some of their resources to do powder coating on a couple of our pieces. So this is one of our new battery trays. Our robot batteries will get to go in this, and it's part of our ongoing project to create a better battery cart that we can take to our competitions to carry over 100 pounds of batteries with us. And the powder coating was an incredibly fun process, let alone just it was informational for us. We learned, and we got to network with other teams. So it was extremely beneficial to be able to connect with those other teams and to create lasting success throughout robotics between multiple teams and between students like that. Us and K9 have a long history of getting along. We're all friends between our teams. So it was great to get to go out and see them again and try something new and learn just how powder coating works. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Carrie Kelly, followed by Debbie Kuna.
Good evening. I'm just going to read my letter to you, which I wrote with the help of AI so that it could be received as compelling rather than complaining. So, dear members of the school board, I'm writing to respectfully request that we keep our custodial services in-house. I also believe, like one of the other speakers, that we've already learned from a shared experience that contracting key personnel, such as custodians, has a negative impact on our facilities, and much more. I go on to explain that we've already experienced what happens when that occurs, and I want to highlight that our in-house custodians take ownership of our buildings. They notice when something's out of place. They respond immediately, whether it's a child that's sick or some of the other things also before mentioned. They stay late for events. They show up early when there's a storm. They know the rhythms of the school day, and they can anticipate that. That doesn't happen when you don't have a consistent vested person. But there's also a serious human cost to outsourcing, one that cannot be ignored. For one, many of our custodians are long-serving employees that have given decades to the district. Outsourcing would disproportionately impact those workers. It's just another version of age discrimination, so I hope that we will not engage in that, especially to those that are nearing health retirement, that are working through health challenges and things that are dependent, that their work is dependent on their livelihood. In our own building, I just wanted to mention that the value of keeping custodians is not really theoretical. It's personal and it's visible every day. And just to highlight, one of our students previously struggled with emotional dysregulation because he could not stay in a classroom. Traditional interventions were not working, but what made a difference? Guess. It was a relationship with our custodian. Trust was built with the student, and instead of running away, he uses a break card. He takes it to the custodian and challenges her for a race. When he feels the need to run, she drops what she's doing and races with him. And he then has access for the rest of the day.
Thank you for your comments. We now will move to Debbie Kuna and then Mark Forshee.
Hello, I've been in this district since 1981. Don't I look great for like 70? No. As a former student and a current staff member and a current parent, I'm coming to you to express my deep concerns for the possibility of 100% privatization of our current FPS custodial staff. This decision carries consequences that extend far beyond budget spreadsheets and projected cost savings. It affects real people, dedicated individuals who have faithfully served our schools and communities for years. During the proposal presented at the last board meeting, it was stated that our current custodians would have the opportunity to interview with a prospective private company. It was also noted that the district currently employs 22 custodians and that only 10 would be retained under the privatized arrangement. Does that mean that there would result in 12 custodians losing their positions and leave 6 buildings without a dedicated custodian? I would appreciate clarification regarding the plan to ensure adequate coverage and support for those 6 schools. It was stated at the board meeting that the privatized companies would pay our FPS custodians the same rate of pay. However, that is misleading. I have learned that they will no longer have benefits, PTO, paid holidays, or retirement. Furthermore, I am concerned that if a third party was required to pay our FPS custodian staff more than new hires, that would incentivize them to hire a new person for less money. Our custodial staff members are not just employees performing a task, they are a vital part of our school environment. They're often the first to arrive and the last to leave, ensuring that classrooms are clean, safe, and ready for students and teachers each day. They take pride in their work and in the relationships they have built with students, staff, and families. Their presence contributes to the stability and sense of community within our schools. Privatizing these positions may appear to offer short-term financial relief, but it risks long-term costs that are not easily measured. Loss of institutional knowledge, reduced accountability, and diminished morals among staff and students alike. At a time when we emphasize the importance of community respect and care for one another, I respectfully ask that you would reconsider this proposal and explore alternative solutions that protect both fiscal responsibility and the well-being of the people who serve our schools so faithfully. One of the things that makes Farmington unique is that we are a community, not just a dollar sign.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mark Forshee and then Amy Small.
Pembroke Academy Charter School in Detroit is right across the street from Bow Elementary School, a public school in Detroit. They're so close, yet miles and miles apart in results. There are a number of reasons, because we don't have the time, I could give what they say why they get these good results. One is moral focus. Pembroke Academy Charter has a moral focus program where students learn and practice virtues like respect, gratitude, and courage. These lessons are woven into daily learning so students know how to apply them in real life, both in and out of the classroom. By pairing strong academics with character education, we help children grow into confident, kind, and responsible individuals who lead with integrity. 4 out of 5 parents agree that NHA's moral focus program has a positive impact on their children. Another point is parent partnership. They say, we believe students thrive when schools and families work together. NHA schools build strong connections between home and school through open communication and meaningful opportunities for involvement. Parents stay informed through regular progress updates and easy-to-use tools like Parent Portal and NHA school content. Finally, it's time for public schools to adopt, budget, and report on values that define our cultural expectations and our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to Amy Small, followed by Henrietta Forshee.
Good evening, Amy Small. I'm a young fives teacher over at Beachview Elementary and always need a good, solid custodian, obviously in the type of classroom that I teach. Going on with my email, I recently became aware that at the February 10th meeting, the board discussed the options for custodial service in the district as our contract with ABM is ending at the end of the school year. I hear that there are some proposals on the table which I feel present an unacceptable issue for our current custodial staff employed by FPS. One proposal I've become aware of is to outsource the staff both day and evening in order to potentially save money. I wish to remind you that the last time the district eliminated our full-time custodians in favor of outsourcing, it was a disaster. The work was never done correctly, completely, or efficiently, with the continuous element of not showing up to work. We are being told if they outsource, then the current FPS custodians will have the option to apply with the new company. My question to the board is at what salary, what benefits? Last time, most custodians left because it was too big of a pay cut, and the individuals who took the jobs were terrible at the job. Our district promotes attract, retain, keep, but shouldn't that apply to all employees, not just teachers and administrative staff? I respect and value the custodial staff we currently have at Beachview and all of the FPS system. Our day custodian, Derek Dan, is someone I trust to text or call when I arrive at the school and find something wrong. I have experienced situations where my fob was not working due to power outage, and I knew I could contact him to assist. Neither I or any teacher staff would feel as safe as an employee who is from an outsourced company who has no relationship or loyalty to the school. Vote no on any proposal that outsources the custodial positions. It is as detrimental to the well-being of the school, the teachers, the staff, and the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Henrietta Forshee, followed by Schuyler. And I'm going to butcher that. Okay, thank you.
Wow, you sound like you have a great custodial service. Whoa. Good evening, members of the Farmington Hills Board. Michigan's K-12 education now ranks 44th out of 50 states. The reason most often cited is poverty. Michigan is one of the 10 poorest states in America. 17.6% of children under 18 live below the poverty line, and 3 of the 4 districts studied here have even higher rates. Yet poverty is not destiny. Look at Mississippi, the nation's poorest state. 10 years ago, Mississippi ranked 49th in 4th grade reading. Today, it ranks 9th overall and 1st among low-income students. They did it with one simple proven change. They taught every child to read, using the science of reading statewide for over a decade. Here in Michigan, we keep repeating the same failed pattern and calling it equity. Let me share a 3-generational story that plays out in our schools every day. Alice went to a big Michigan public school and never learned to read at grade level. She was stuck in low-wage jobs. So she sent her son Barry to the better suburban public school. Barry also never learned to read at grade level. Teachers told Alice it was her fault. She didn't read at home or come to conferences. Barry stayed in poverty. So he sent his daughter Connie to an even better suburban school. Same result, teachers blame Barry. Connie now faces the same dead-end future. Proven road maps that work for poor children, Pembroke, Charter, and Bow Elementary right here in Detroit, reading proficiency jumped from 12% to 62%. Farmington, we can choose to be the district that finally breaks the cycle of perpetuating it. Let's adopt the science of reading, support real school choice and competition, and explicitly teach our students the success sequence that 97% of Americans have proven works. Our children deserve more than another generation of excuses. They deserve results. Thank you.
Thank you. Schuyler, very nice to put a face to a name. Followed by Sherelle Dixon. I'm also interested to put that face to a name.
Excuse me. I practiced my speech for 3 minutes, so I'm going to try and go speed through it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Skylar Hispanic, and I serve as a head custodian for Farmington Public Schools. I'm here tonight to respectfully ask you to keep custodial services in-house. Over the years, our district has worked with multiple third-party custodial companies. While vendors have changed, the challenges have remained consistent: accountability gaps, inconsistent standards, and delayed corrective action. These patterns have repeated over time. Under outsourced models, when deficiencies are identified, directions from district leadership does not always result in timely correction. Resolution often requires escalation beyond on-site staff. In practice, FPS custodians frequently step in ourselves to correct issues before they reach administration, because classrooms must be ready every day. Once a contract is signed, corrective leverage becomes more limited than when staff are directly employed by the district. That structural difference matters when consistency is the goal. To monitor performance, I have personally tracked recurring concerns. I've observed grime on restroom fixtures, persistent dust on ledges and behind doors, and areas left untouched for extended periods. In one documented instance, a teacher, with the teacher's knowledge, I left a visible date marked and left in the dust, and it remained in place from January through April, even after spring break cleaning. We also used a sanitation indicator product to verify disinfection. When applied to fixtures reported as clean, it indicated incomplete sanitation. Even after that was demonstrated, consistency did not materially improve. Outsourced models have also historically resulted in high turnover and reassignment between buildings. That instability limits familiarity, weakens relationship with staff, and makes consistent enforcement of district standards more difficult. Even small inconsistencies in standards can erode teacher trust and create additional administrative workload. In contrast, in-house custodians are directly accountable to this district. We know the buildings, the expectations, and the people we serve. When something is wrong, we correct it immediately. Before making a structural change, I respectfully ask that you fully consider the operational patterns we have already experienced. Our students deserve consistency, our teachers deserve reliability, and our district deserves direct accountability. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Sherelle Dixon, followed by William Lubaway. Very nice to see you.
You too. Good evening, members of the board. There's a verse that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Vision is not just about numbers. It is about people. We stand here tonight because we care deeply about this district, not just as employees, but as members of the Farmington Public Schools community. We're asking you clearly and respectfully, we want to remain Farmington Public School employees. Across Michigan, districts that move to privatize custodial services expecting savings often experience high turnover, staffing shortages, and service concerns. Some have since returned to in-house or hybrid models after facing transition costs and operational challenges that were not fully visible at the start. Savings on paper do not always translate into stability in practice. This decision is about more than cleaning. It affects maintenance, response times, building knowledge, safety, and daily operations. We are often the first to notice when something is wrong, where we know our buildings and we know our staff. We know our students. I have worked for a third-party company before. There is a real difference. When you work for a vendor, your accountability ultimately runs to that company. When you work directly with the district, your accountability runs to the board, the administration, and importantly, the students. I also want to pause for a moment to reference something you have already seen throughout your buildings. The ARC talent model, attract, recruit, and keep. It says this is how we build students' futures, one employee at a time. Right now, we are asking you to truly lean into that model. You already attracted us. You already recruited us. And tonight, we're asking you to keep us. When a teacher needs help, we step in. When there is an event, we stay late. When there is a crisis, we respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bill Lubaway, and then we have Haley Bell, who I'm also interested in seeing in person. This is the last public comment card that I have. If anyone else is interested in making public comment at this public comment time, please fill out a card. Otherwise, there is the public comment opportunity just after our, before action items. Thank you. And after discussion items. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to speak about home rule Our communities own this school district. The board represents us and is accountable to us. This places a premium on excellent open dialogue, which means we discuss academic achievement with our public, not in private. And that's fairly significant because in this district, 56% of the students read at grade level, 44% don't. That means that we have a letter grade of F. Not an A, B, C, or D, but an F. School district taxpayers and parents must pay attention to the quality of their district and its schools and act to fix their own schools. It's about time this board stepped up to the plate and increased our academic achievement. And with 55 seconds, at the last meeting you said only 8 or 9 people raised questions versus 9,000 students. That's wrong. 9 people might raise questions about the operations of the district, but 2,500 people voted with their feet over the last 12 or 13 years and went to homeschool other districts to get better education. And speaking of the Mississippi Miracle, there's a speaker in Lansing on April 15th. It probably would behoove you to get somebody over there to listen to that.
Thank you. Now we will move to Haley Bell and then to Hillary Abram.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Haley Bell. I am the head custodian at Lanigan Elementary. If you didn't know that name before, I understand that may have changed in the past few days. My school has spoken out a lot on behalf of the custodians in general, and I wanted to share with you guys a message from the heart. There is a reason, let's bring that over here. There is a reason that the third-party companies have failed consistently in the past. ABM custodians represent a company that doesn't care about them. All of us, your Farmington Public School head custodians, feel the loyalty to us that comes with the benefits provided by the district. We return that loyalty to you by believing in our future. The pride we feel as Farmington Public School staff is an investment that readily can't be quantified by numbers. It would be extremely difficult to concisely demonstrate the value we implement in your schools, but I urge you to remember how things felt with the third party in the past and consider how that affected your teachers, students, and parents' perception of our district. Please consider the loss of morale school-wide when these teachers face the reality of feeling unheard and uncared for again. We repay our school's loyalty to us as FPS employees with our pride. When we feel cared for by the district, everyone involved can feel a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Hillary Abraham, and this is now the last public comment card that I have. No, we appreciate hearing from our public, so if anyone wants to speak, feel free to do so. Otherwise, again, there's another opportunity after discussion items.
Hi, I'm Hillary Abraham. I'm a teacher here in Farmington Public Schools. I have worked closely with several of the custodians that are in here. Anytime I turn around and I need something as a teacher for any of my students, they're there to help out. Being in other districts and other schools that have outsourced that, it's not there. They're not as committed. They're not as passionate. So keeping to the ARC model, avoiding burnout, keeping people that are important, it's critical to this district and to this area. I love Farmington schools. I think it's a great community. I really believe in it. But honestly, the custodians that have worked with me have been mind-blowing for not just me, but the students most importantly. So please consider keeping them.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment at this time? Is there any further public comment at this time? Seeing none, we're going to close public comment for this period. Again, there is a public comment. If you haven't had public comment already, you have an opportunity to speak at the second one. I want to just make a few quick comments and let everyone know that we appreciate hearing from our public. We take this process very seriously, and earnestly. I do appreciate that some of you may feel rushed in having your public comments here in public. Obviously, the purpose of public comment is to hear from you, but the meetings are for the purpose of conducting business, so they're intentionally short. We have lots of other opportunities or ways to communicate with us. The biggest one is email, and let me tell you, I've heard from you guys loud and clear. All of us have read those emails. There's no character limit on an email, and generally, you will receive a response. I have read personally every email that has been sent up until probably today. I haven't read anything after during the work hours, but I will be up until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock tonight responding to your emails, and so you will get an email from me at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when I've finished reading all of the emails, because they are important to us. We read them thoroughly, and we understand the concerns. As a result, we've asked lots more questions, and so we may not get to an answer today because we still have questions, and this is really, really important. So again, thank you for your feedback. We do hear you. We are listening. And feedback is especially important to us. And it is very good to see people in person. This, also helps us understand how important this issue is. And even if you're not here to speak, we see you. We see your presence, and we hear you through your comments, both in writing and in person. So again, thank you. We appreciate hearing from you. Genuinely, it matters. Thank you. We'll now move to our next agenda item, which is items from the Secretary. Madam Secretary?
Yes, the board has received communications regarding the Office of Head Start notifications, parking and traffic concerns at Gill Elementary School and Power Middle School, Oakland School's tax increase vote, and emails regarding concerns over the outsourcing of custodial services. The board acknowledges all communications and responds as appropriate. A list of correspondence is included in the board packet, which is available on the Farmington Public Schools website.
Thank you. We'll now move to the legislative update.
Yeah, quickly, at Michigan, the governor will present a proposed budget at her State of the State tomorrow. A lot of that includes some funding for education, $250 per pupil foundation increase, $125 million for declining enrollment stabilization, $125 million one-time transportation funding. All this will come out tonight. I'll keep it brief because I know we have a lot on our plate. But overall, it's something to keep an eye on. After tomorrow, tonight is on the federal State of the Union. The president will be giving that tonight. State of the county is March 5th. And I believe State of the Cities for Farmington and Farmington Hills is March 7th. So a lot of things coming out in the next couple of weeks, and just keep an eye out. Thank you so much.
I believe it's the March 6th, Friday, the State of the City.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, I apologize. Friday, the 6th, my bad.
Thank you. We'll now move to district updates, the district improvement update. Dr. Coffin.
So first, I have a little bit for my superintendent update. And then
thank you.
Yes. So it has been, thank you, President Weems, it has been a really productive few weeks across the district. We are thrilled to welcome back our students and staff from their midwinter break this week, and really energized by the momentum we continue to build throughout our buildings and with our staff and our students. Of course, huge congratulations to Farmington Hills' own Megan Keller on her team's spectacular gold medal victory and delivering the clutch game-winning goal. This incredible milestone is a proud moment for the entire Keller family, of course, but especially for her mother, Lynn Keller, who continues to inspire our students each and every day as a PE and health teacher at Power Middle School. Just so happy for Megan and the whole Keller family. Earlier this month, I had the opportunity to attend the AASA National Conference of Education, spending time learning aside colleagues from across the country, just reinforced the challenges we face and that they are shared, but it also highlighted how uniquely positioned our district is as a leader in the student-centered transformation of learning. I wanted to give a shout out to our East Middle School principal, Drew LaCroix, and Assistant Superintendent Rhonda Henry, who presented our team-based staffing models and flexible scheduling models at the middle school, for the middle school level, at the Future of Learning Council meeting that happened last week. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, with other leaders looking to us as a blueprint for how do we create more sustainable and collaborative environments for our educators. I recently had the opportunity to join Rebecca Middles for a conversation on her Getting Smart podcast. We discussed the shifts happening in our buildings, how we are shaping the culture through at FPS to support more personalized, learner-centered systems. Closer to home, I, along with a few FPS team members, had the opportunity to connect with staff members from the Hawk to get an update on our partnership work, and boy, have we come a long way in the last few years. I truly appreciate the work of the staff at the Hawk, the City of Farmington Hills, for Aaron Hill and Allison Robinson, and their continued collaboration to increase opportunities for our middle school students. The Hawk shared ways that they've expanded these opportunities, including additional sports and after-school events, and is now looking at tutoring opportunities in partnership with the local university for our students to do that as a part of an afternoon program there as well. I also spent time this week connecting with our state and U.S. legislators to discuss our district priorities, specifically focusing on the need for sustained, flexible funding to support the very innovations mentioned above. Advocacy remains a cornerstone of the role that I serve to ensure our district has the resources to keep evolving. I'm also had a great time today. Lunch and Learn was joined by Ms. Smith at Visions. Actually, it was cookies and conversation, probably more, or brownies. And, yeah. And it was great to talk with them, and then looking forward to meeting with our Kent Brook students later on this week. And again, I'm really excited. I have been asked to attend the State of the State address tomorrow evening in Lansing, specifically to hear more about the administration, the governor's budget, and her priorities for K-12 education. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that is all I have for that update. Now I would like to welcome Ms. Rhonda Henry, Assistant Superintendent for Innovation and Strategic Initiatives, and Ms. Margaret Hendrickson, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, to the podium to present a district improvement update.
Good evening, President Weems, members of the board, and Dr. Coffin. Our instructional service department has been deeply involved in analyzing our winter NWA data, specifically focusing on the fall to winter growth and achievement in the fall to winter window for our students. And we are eager to share with you areas of progress, areas that we have demonstrated resiliency, and then a refined plan moving forward in literacy and mathematics. For this update, we'll be focusing intentionally on curriculum, instruction, and assessment, and how it contributes to the goal of continuous learning and improvement. So we're making a deliberate choice to invest in our greatest assets, our teachers and our students, by utilizing high-quality instructional materials and ensuring that our teachers have meaningful professional learning experiences. Our intentional work is focused on 4 foundational pillars that are critical to ensuring all truly means all, beginning with high expectations for our students, providing high quality, rigorous grade level content, ensuring that our teachers are utilizing inclusive teaching methods and strategies that encourage all students to participate, aligning our resources and ensuring that they are evidence-based, and then also providing that sustained support for teachers to remain student-centered and adaptive to our student needs. We monitor both the early indicators of success and also look for the long-term growth of our students. As you know, NWA officially released its new 2025 MAP growth norms in July of 2025, and those replaced the 2020 norms. The NWA renorming resets the national benchmark to account for the pandemic-related learning trends. Farmington Public Schools' story is truly one of resilience. Despite the lowering of the average performance, our students have outperformed the majority of our peers with high average to high results. This data validates that our instruction successfully mitigates the impact of the pandemic better than most schools. And our high ranking proves that we are accelerating, as student learning is currently higher than the national average. As we look and reflect on our intentional movement to foundational skills based on the science of reading and knowledge building literacy over the last 5 years, we started this work well before our county. We've been engaged in this work for 5 years on the science of reading. The investment has included high-quality instructional resources such as EL Skills Block and Wit and Wisdom, and this work is similar to the efforts that have driven significant achievement gains in Mississippi, which has been noted in previous meetings. In October, I had the opportunity to visit Mississippi. I was invited to represent Farmington based on our mitten work that we're doing with ensuring that we have high-quality instructional materials in our classrooms, and also what we're doing with team-based staffing. That was part of what's called ITEL, Inspired Teaching, Exceptional Learning Convening. And the convening provided me the opportunity to see firsthand what's happening in the classroom. So I was able to visit elementary schools, and what I observed strongly validates the work that we're doing. They have implemented explicit, systematic, foundational skill instruction, EL Skills Block, Wit and Wisdom. We have been doing that for 5 years. And that was really great to see, that we had that stick-to-itness that I've spoken about, and that we have maintained an intentionality around the high-quality instructional materials. Our data remains stable despite a significant increase in the rigor and the tasks that we are asking students to complete with our new instructional resources. And this indicates that the floor has been raised across the district. And our current work, as we talk about a lot, is not a quick fix. It's built in a deep root system of background knowledge that we know will yield long-term results.
So, as we think about that complex change we've engaged in just coming out of the pandemic, because we knew before the pandemic that we needed to do something different in addition to response to the pandemic. Amidst this complex change, we have high average to high achievement and growth with stability over time. Stability is important when you think about complex change, because sometimes complex change can lead to dips, but instead it has led to resiliency. And so when you look at each of our grade bands, lower, upper, and middle school, you'll notice here on the NWA percentile rank bands, our achievement and growth sit in the high average to high areas. So you'll see those green brackets indicate the performance band in which that grade level is performing. So our K2, high achievement and growth, that's where that foundational skill, EL Skills Block instruction is occurring. Grades 3 through 5, they're starting to benefit from that while also engaging in our Wit and Wisdom work with the science of reading, as well as grades 6 through 8, who's also doing language development and science of reading-based instruction. And this shows high resilience and performance compared to the national average, which would be the 50 percentile rank. And this is achievement and growth. As we look more deeply at this data and we look at grade bands, One of the things, when we look at achievement percentile ranks for each grade level, our grades K through 2 are over 80 percentile rank, which means they're outperforming 80% of our peers. And so at the grade levels between K2 and 6-8, we're outperforming over 70% of our peers. And our percent met growth, when it's estimated that about 50% of students meet their expected growth, we are exceeding that across all of those 3 grade bands. Trend is really important. As Ms. Henry spoke about, we look for early impact, but also lasting trend and lasting impact. And so I just pulled out a few grade levels, lower L, upper L, and middle school, to show you our trend compared to the national norm and that relative stability. And remember, those percentile ranks there you see for achievement are high average to high achievement. And so we've noticed some strong stability post-pandemic amongst this, this complex change with our students showing high achievement. We look at this data at the district and building level. As we dig further, because there's a lot of different metrics with NWA, one of the things we look at is how big the achievement gain was from fall to winter. And you'll notice here that each grade level had an increase in the percentile rank from fall to winter in achievement. It is pretty normal to see higher gains at the lower L than upper L and then middle school, because that's where kids develop a lot of the foundational skill that they need to apply and transfer knowledge at the upper L and middle school, so you tend to see those accelerated growths. But we're very excited to see this. Whoops. Another thing that's important to understand is some of the data we get are called median data. And a median means it's a cut point where 50% of students are performing above or below that. What we've noticed from last year to this year is the median achievement was higher this year than last year, going from fall to winter. So our median in winter this year was a 10 percentile rank higher than the fall. The median last year was only 2 percentile ranks compared to fall. As we look at cohorts, the board often asks us for cohort information, so this is following our lower L cohorts. So we're very excited around the increased gains this year. Another thing we look at is each grade level has a growth projection, just like each student has a growth projection. Looking back over multi-year data, we are showing consistent performance above the expected projected growth for each of our grade bands. These are just 3 examples of how we're performing significantly above the expected growth for the grade level, 100 to 200 to 300% above the expected. That shows how we are outperforming the norm. The board has very specifically engaged in conversation about ensuring we don't just look at all students, but we also look at our valuable student groups. We do recognize, as we look across our student groups, achievement gaps still exist, and we have not reduced that complete predictability. But what we are excited to share is that fall to winter this year, for example, since lower L has been a significant focus for us, you can see in blue there the improvement in the achievements from fall to winter for our Black African American students. And you can see there in pink, their conditional growth, the size of their growth is high average, outperforming 78 to 83% of their peers, not their African American peers, their national all-student peers, as well as significantly above that 50% of students that generally meet their growth expectation. As you look deeper in the data, again, you will see achievement gaps. You will see some lack of consistency in the data, so there's definitely more work to do, but we are excited by these early impacts. One of the pieces, I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds just to make a little bit of a point, that NWA doesn't just give us those metrics that I shared, but also gives us information around specific domains or areas of learning that kids are focusing on. So for example, in lower L, there's what's called foundational skills, or vocabulary use and function, or vocabulary. Don't worry about what each of those means, but they're highly correlated to reading and comprehension. So fluency, reading, and comprehension. When we look specifically at those domains and how our students are performing, this is what we see. As we look across buildings, we notice that over 59% of students are high average in most buildings in that performance of foundational skills, tied specifically to our foundational skill instruction EL skills block. 58% are high average for vocabulary use and function, and similar numbers for vocabulary. I bring this up because it's important for us to understand where students are in specific learning, not just those vague numbers. This is good data. We have over close to 60% of students high average, but that also means we have 40% of students who are not at high average. So we're digging into our next steps to identify how do we maintain and continue to move those high average students, but also ensure we accelerate learning for those that are not there yet. And you'll see in a little bit how it's shifted the work that we're doing this semester and the coming year. One of the pieces, again, as the board consistently asks, how are our student groups doing? Monitoring our Title I buildings is really important in really understanding where our student groups are. And so for those same domains or strands I shared about, which are early foundational skill work, you can kind of see where 3 out of 5 buildings or all Title I buildings or 2 out of 5 Title I buildings are showing that they grew this year compared to last year in those domains, just to give you a little insight into the depth of what we look at. The plan. When we met together this summer at the retreat, we had a plan outlined here for you for the school year. In light of that foundational skill data I just talked about, we are making very specific plans to focus on certain components of our new resources, EL Skills Block and Wit and Wisdom, so that we are better hitting those targets around foundational skills. So we have professional development being planned and underway. At the secondary level, very excited to see that our secondary students are starting to perform similarly as the elementary students, but we're making those same observations in the data that our middle school and high school students, here specifically middle school, needs much more of those foundational skills connected to the science of reading at the middle school, so we've added a new element of that to our plan. With mathematics, to what Ms. Henry talked about with literacy, we've made very significant investments in our work in literacy, in mathematics. Very excited, again, about high average to high achievement and average to high growth. And here we're actually seeing gains and not stability. We're starting to see upward trends. To remind our community and board, we've been investing in our current resources, K-5, adding new resources, grades 6 through 8 for mathematics, as well as doing strategic professional development and use of supplemental tools. And all of this investment has created meaningful gains for us. So similarly, what you saw for literacy, our achievement and growth is sitting in that high average to high range for K2 and 3-5, and the average to high average range for growth and achievement for grades 6 through 8, again, outperforming the national norm. Similarly to literacy, we're very excited that our achievement, we're outperforming over 60% of more of our peers, depending on the grade level, between K2 and 6-8. And again, we're above the national norm, 4% net growth. Just like for literacy, it's important that we start looking at our trends in different grades. So I chose different grades than what we chose for literacy. So you see grade 2, 4, and 8 here for achievement. And you'll notice that we see some stability at K2, but the grades where we've been putting in a lot of significant work, we're actually seeing achievement gains over the last 3 years aligned with the work that we've been doing. This is even more compelling. Not only has the achievement increased over trend, but our growth, our conditional growth has increased over time, and you'll see some pretty significant gains there. It's important to recognize, and I didn't mention for literacy, is that we have renormed all the data. So this isn't the last data point was this 2025 norm, and the other data points were 2020. All of this data has been renormed, and notice how we are now above the national norm at all of these grade levels. I also, when I talked about literacy, talked about that change from fall to winter. In middle school, where we've done the significant change in mathematics this year, in 24-25, the change in achievement actually dropped from fall to winter. This year, we saw gains compared to the prior year, which I feel are pretty significant to go up from -2 change in achievement to +4. And so we are seeing just one semester into the year, we're seeing gains. We also see this back historical for the last couple years, not just from 24, 25, 25, 26. What's very interesting is each grade level, as I mentioned for literacy, has an expected growth projection. And we've actually followed that growth projection and where we were relative to that for mathematics at all the grade levels. And if you notice here in middle school, we've exceeded our growth projection by much more than we have in the prior years. Upwards of 25% gain in how our performance is relative to the expected growth. So we're very excited to see this in response to the work we've done. Again, ensuring that we're looking at our student groups. What I like here on the right-hand side is as we looked at fall to winter this year versus fall to winter last year, the fall to winter gains were 100% higher compared to the gains last year at grade 2, and then you'll see what's happening at grade 3 and grade 4 there. So we also noticed in our African American students at grades 1 through 4, 9 to 10% more students met their projected growth than in the prior year. Again, a gap still exists. Learning opportunities are still varied, and we're building collective practice for collective impact to ensure this data no longer is predictable. Again, with mathematics, we are sticking with our current implementation plan around elementary math as it is making gains at that grades 3 through 5. It will get expanded to K2 in the coming school year. In middle school, one of the things we've noticed, and it kind of connects to the literacy work as well, is there are a lot of routines in our new math resource at the middle school level that emphasizes language routines and student-to-student discourse. And we have found in our classroom observations that that's an area of growth for us as we continue to implement illustrative mathematics. So just showing that we're continuing to refine our plan based on data that we collect. As we think about in closing.
Yep, so in closing, in our NWA data in both literacy and math confirms a clear connection that when we set high expectations for all students, we ensure that we use high-quality resources and provide that meaningful professional learning for our teachers, that we're seeing gains. And this is a slide that summarizes our entire presentation over literacy and our math growth and the areas specific to the growth and achievement.
Thank you for this presentation. I'm sure lots of us have some questions. Mrs. Smith?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. You stated earlier on that you went to Mississippi. When you went there, did you just go to an urban school or did you go to a suburban school? Not only because we all know suburban districts teach different from urban districts. And if you did go to both, were there any comparisons? Did you find anything where people were changing things or working differently? What did they do? Because I keep hearing how we talk about our minority students. And as you know, I'm biracial, African American and Latino. Our students struggle. And it's just like having, you find out that you got an illness. You know you got the illness. You know that the illness is not getting better. Are you talking to the parents and talking to the teachers to figure out what we are doing wrong, that our minority students are not getting it? What are we doing wrong? I mean, because I've gone to the buildings with Lunch and Learn, and I walk the community. That's what I do when I campaign. I've gotten input from the minority groups, and I've gotten it from our Caucasian groups, what people think is going on. And I can share those conversations with you all privately. Yes, we can have private conversations with you. But I want to let you know, I agree with what you all are doing, but I went to Chicago a few years back, and I tried to share with the superintendent at the time about the urban dialogue, what they did to rebuild and help the African-American community and the Latino community. And those school districts are thriving. There has been a change. I want to know what we can do to help the two of you get this together. Thank you.
Thank you. So to answer the first question, when I went to Mississippi, I was there for a convening and really to share what we're doing in Farmington in terms of high-quality instructional materials and also team-based staffing. And so the school, the one elementary school that I was able to visit was an urban school, and we met with the principal and the teachers. We were able to do instructional rounds, and that's what I said earlier. I was very happy to see the same resources that we're using for high-quality instructional materials is what they're doing, and there's an intentionality around it, ensuring that there's consistency, consistent use of the materials, and that the teachers are having meaningful professional development, and they're collaborating. I had spoken the last board meeting about our team-based staffing model, and they're implementing team-based staffing models as well, and building structures for teachers to collaborate and learn from each other. So that's what I saw. In terms of speaking, with our community, that's very important that we hear from them. We have a parent ambassador group that was started this year by Dr. Coffin, and President Weems attends those meetings, and we're hearing, directly from the parents on what the needs are of our community, and that's very important that we continue doing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing number, Mrs. Heinrich.
I always have questions. No, thank you for this information, and I just made a couple notes. Because this is looking at percentiles, and it's looking at growth, and just to clarify, percentiles versus percents. Like when we say that 80% of our students met expected growth, that doesn't mean that 20% are not achieving at grade level. That meeting growth isn't equated with performing at grade level. Or if we say 80% of our students met expected growth because of percentile, that doesn't mean that 20% of our students can't read. Is that, can you just kind of clarify that? Because sometimes we latch onto numbers and we just want to work them in our minds, and just to clarify that this is showing different information than what the spring test, as far as the Michigan Merit Test and the ACTs or SATs, I don't remember which ones we're doing. SATs.
State assessments.
So different information.
State assessments are about measuring very specific achievement and grade level achievement, as defined by our standards.
Okay.
What NWA provides us is letting us know where each and every kid is in their learning, regardless of whether they're below, at, or above grade level. When we see high percentile ranks, like 80 percentile rank, that does start to indicate that our achievement is outperforming the norm, and we are having high achievement, and NWA does have some correlation to what our performance will be on the M-STEP. So some of the achievement data in NWA does help us make some predictions about state assessment. When kids are over 65 percentile rank, they have a 50% chance of being proficient on the state assessment. So we watch that. One of the things that's really important to move each and every learner is to know where each and every learner's starting place is. And we need to make sure we're setting growth plans that allow them to get a year or over a year's worth of growth. So the reason why 65% of students meeting their or exceeding their growth expectations means we're making sure all those 65% of kids started, we got them beyond or to their expected growth. That means there are kids that did not meet their expected growth, but that doesn't mean they didn't grow. And meeting expected growth doesn't mean whether you're at grade level or not. Okay?
Yeah.
And percentile ranks are just telling our relative achievement to the norm.
Okay, and how they do.
Yeah.
And so how does that translate because we're really focusing on acceleration opportunities for our students, so can you just kind of address how the teachers are using that to make sure that our talented students are getting accelerated that they need?
Because each student gets their own expected growth projection, the teacher can see each student's starting place in the fall, see them in winter and spring, and see whether they've increased in their achievement, whether they've increased in their growth, so they can monitor that each student is getting what they need in order to grow. One of the things that Ms. Henry has spoken to our buildings about is looking at students that are 80 percentile rank or higher and identifying what are those specific moves we're making in our instruction to make sure they are growing and getting new instruction. Dr. Coffin always talked about if kids are learning new things, they will grow and they will achieve. What NWA tells us about where everyone's starting place, and it lets us know whether they're responding to instruction. That's what NWA will say. If they are making their growth, they are responding to instruction. And that's one of the things we need to look at, is whether kids are responding to instruction and whether they're getting closer and closer to where their next steps can be.
Yeah, and I really want to thank you for your work on this, because the teachers have so much on the plate, and to have experts in the district to analyze this and help teachers understand and provide the resources and the coaching and the support so that they can be more effective at their jobs. That's an important piece. Just one quick question. You said you're piloting a new resource for math, Delta Math. Can you just tell what that is?
So it's not in pilot. So in literacy, we have our core resource, EL Skills, Block and Wit and Wisdom, and we use UFly as a resource for intervention around foundational skills. And so maybe, yes, at the beginning of this year, Delta was new as an intervention resource for students that need some additional support outside of their use of everyday math experience. And so what's really nice, K-5, is we have a quality intervention tool that teachers are trained in to use to support kids in their readiness for grade level, so they'd have a better chance at responding to grade level content.
So what is Delta Math? Is it a computer program?
No, it's both UFly and Delta Math give actual lessons that the teacher does with small groups on a targeted foundational skill. So if I need blends or I need single-digit addition, it specifically gives them lessons to do for that over a period of time.
And so how do you support the teachers having the time and the opportunity to work with small groups with these?
So what we're finding as we think about restructuring is that grade levels and buildings are building time into their day where no new Tier 1 instruction occurs. It's time for all students, no matter where you are on the continuum of your performance, have access to small group or extended learning opportunities. And then they also, with team-based staffing, we're noticing the way they're dividing up kids, and not every kid does the same thing every day. They are able to weave in, do the flexibility, time to meet with kids. It is one of the biggest challenges that schools face, but our staff are being creative in making sure they have time for small group instruction for each and every. It is a practice, as you notice in a plan, that we're growing on and doing specific support around to ensure small group instruction is going well.
Okay, all right, thank you for expanding on that.
I know that we will have more time to discuss data in our deep dive, and I also appreciate that the superintendent provided more detail for us in our board packets, particularly with some of the prior year comparisons, which I'm most interested in understanding, in addition to this point in time. I appreciate Trustee Heinrich pointing out the difference between the achievement results that the M-STEP and the SAT provide us, and how this gives us some assessment information as well as growth information, and how we can have really high growth, but a student still be below proficiency, and we can have really low growth and have a student who is exceeding proficiency. So I think that this board is growing in our understanding and appreciation of data. I think for me, I would still like that level set during our meeting about what data we're looking at, what do RIT scores mean, like all of that. We need refreshers. And I am personally interested in trend data.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we're all rooted in the grade levels that we're looking at. Sometimes we look at third grade, sometimes we're looking at fourth grade. I want to be sure that we're consistent there. And then I also want us to grow in our understanding of how to leverage both this NWEA data and the M-STEP and SAT together, so that we can actually understand and appreciate how this growth relates to proficiency, both together. I'm really encouraged by this. This is really great news that we're moving in the right direction, and more substantially in the right direction, more than a couple digits here and there. This is really promising. So thank you for your work. With that, we will pick this back up during our deep dive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we'll move to reports from board committees. The first one is the Finance and Facilities Committee. Trustee Heinrich?
Yes. Well, everybody was on vacation. The Finance and Facilities Committee meeting had a meeting last week, Tuesday, February 17th. Trustee Hull and myself were present. We talked about the marching band uniform purchase, and I think that was one of the reasons we had this meeting, so that it's a discussion item, but just the synopsis is the uniforms have a 20-year lifespan, and in order to have time for discussion and time for action, and if the board approves it, to have the uniforms delivered in time for the next school year, we needed to have that meeting. Wes Prescott? Yeah. Shared structured cabling recommendation, and that's going to be on a discussion item. And he shared information on a networks electronics recommendation. And that's a discussion item also, and this is stemming from the 2020 bond budget, work that's been ongoing. And we asked to have further discussion on the custodial, and asked that the district go out and gather some more information for us based on the feedback that we've been getting from our members in our community. And so we asked them to actually reach out to different school districts that the ABM contractors have been working with, and actually check the references. And so we'll have more information to share on the findings that we had on that. And there was additional questions that, anyways, that was the big one, and we asked them to clarify the fact that, they had so many vendors, and they were bringing different proposals from different companies, and so to clarify what exactly the district is asking the board to consider and to improve. And so we will have further discussion on that later on. That's what we talked about at the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the Policy Committee. Vice President?
So the Policy Committee met on the 19th, and we had a good discussion around House Bill 4141. As Trustee Rosento has mentioned at a number of different meetings, about the pending bill for the 26-27 school year, where the bill is going to prohibit the use of student wireless communication devices during instructional time. We dissected the bill and found a number of areas where the language was more than ambiguous, as well as compared what that bill currently reads to our current policy around wireless communications, and basically determined that, thankfully, we're very much ahead of the curve in this discussion, and that we will wait on some more specific language as it comes through our attorney, as is their normal practice. They'll bring forth these kinds of things. But at least we're giving thought to, okay, should the bill come in as exactly as it is written, what does that mean for the enforcement of said bill as it relates to student behaviors and such within the school district? So we're having some preliminary conversation around that. That was it.
Thank you. We are now ready to move into discussion items. The first one is the review of the marching band uniform purchase.
Yes, so I'd like to invite Ms. Margaret Hendrickson back up to the podium to present on the marching band uniform purchase.
So I'd like to invite Peggy Babcock.
And friends.
Yeah, I always have friends. So Zolny Floreska and Peggy Babcock are our directors for marching band between North and Farmington High School. I will ask them to come by me just in case, come on up, because I want to say that they actually did all of this work. A marching band proposal is about a year in the making to get to this place. And so if you have some more technical questions around the beautiful uniforms we're about to show you, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer the questions. We're always talk about the student experience. And so when we think about supporting the ideal learning experience, marching band is really a highlight of an experience that we offer for our students. It really is a point of pride for both the district and the community. It's a real world application. We talk about that authenticity. It's a real world application of the classroom music experience kids have had since they joined Farmington Public Schools in kindergarten. It's like going from the desk, although I know you guys don't teach at the desk, but that idea of going to the desk to the field is really valuable when I hear more and more about our marching band program. And here you see our Falcons, Farmington High School, here in these pictures. These are our current uniforms that you see. A marching band uniform is really more than just apparel. It really is a vital piece of the performance equipment for our marching band students. So it ensures that our visual excellence really matches our ensemble and performance. And so here you'll see our North Farmington High School students, and you'll see their current uniforms. These current uniforms are 15 to 20 years old and are ready for refresh, as well as ready for something that might last a little bit longer than where we can go with their current state. And so what they have engaged in is really a year experience in developing this proposal for the board to purchase new marching band uniforms for both comprehensive high schools. As I stated, rationale-wise, we really needed to replace because we're exceeding the functional lifespan. It's also important to bring our uniforms up to date with the attire expectations for competition. DeMoulin has been a vendor we have brought to the board before around some of our music purchases over the last few years. It is a consortium vendor. Understand that the design of a marching band uniform includes design. It's not taking an off-the-shelf item like a choir dress and ordering it. So it really took a long time, and DeMoulin has worked with them on this process, and your patrons have been included in this process, and students. And so each building will get their own unique design that's specific to their identity and spirit, but both have high-performing materials and manufacturing. Now, to see, here you see the renderings of the concept designs, and DeMoulin, after approval of concept, actually developed samples and sent that to us, and our team looked at them, looked at all the specs. In your board packet, you got the outline of the original specs. You'll notice it's like 5 pages. It looks like I don't know. It's some kind of manual to something. I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but I don't understand it, but they do. And there's been some subtle changes in a couple of the specifications, so you'll see in your board packet those adjustments made to the specs. As they are custom, This was the sample spec documents. And again, things that we don't always understand, but we don't need to understand those pieces. What's more important for the board is to understand the cost associated with this investment in the student learning experience. Farmington High and North have different size programs and slightly different designs that results in a difference in cost, all in with shipping and handling, with a total cost of just north of $258,000. It's important for the board to understand that we're bringing this to discussion today with action at the next board meeting. If we get your approval, we're able to submit a PO to DeMoulin. And right now, we're looking at, if we submitted it today, about 180 working days till delivery. It is possible in March that might get extended out. It all depends on where we fall in line of production, because each piece is made to order. Our intention is, if we can move forward with the approval and action from the board, that we would have these in time for the new season. So just wanted to give you that. It's a little bit different than our normal timelines for delivery of materials. So that is our recommendation to the board for you to consider today for action at the next meeting. And if you have any questions for me or something specific for our directors, we'd be happy to answer your questions.
Ms. Smith?
So over the years, our band has been up and down. When my oldest one was there, it was, like a Michigan State band. By the time my youngest one got there, it was depleting. What are you going to do if you have a spike? Will you have uniforms for those students as well?
So we built in some cushion into the number of uniforms, and at any time, if we needed to order more, we would order more. It's a little bit of a science, making prediction based on current and future enrollment. They do look back at our middle school programs, et cetera, that feed in to kind of see where those numbers will be, with the expectation that a uniform might last 10 to 15 years, but that is always something we would look at. And I will tell you, our music teachers are great advocates. When enrollment goes up, they say, please, can we have more? And so we respect that communication and that intentionality to make sure our students have what they need.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
I have a few questions. So in line with Mrs. Smith's question, I get the sense from what I attend that our music program is growing, which is fantastic. And so I had a similar question and wanted to understand if that was being thought through. I also appreciate you're probably experts at figuring out what sizes are appropriate, and so you've given all that thought. A couple of, cosmetic sort of questions. One, I am conscious of the fact that, from what I know, Farmington's colors are navy and white, and North Farmington is a horrible, sorry.
Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that.
I'm a North Farmington through and through, but I am not a blank brown and gold person. So what I'm noticing, though, is that these colors, I'm fine not showing brown and, and gold, but these colors don't feel like they represent that. I'm okay with that. They look great. How much student voice came into these designs? I'm curious about. I want to make sure that there is an opportunity for the students to have some sort of voice in what their uniforms look like.
Hello, I'm Zolny Floreska. I am the new band director at Farmington High School as of July this year. I'm very excited to be here. When it came to these uniforms, when I got here, it was already, the process had already started. And so I used the design that the students, they had a uniform committee, at least at FHS, who came up with one design, and then I was told, but you can change anything you want, and that kind of thing. So the biggest thing with the first design that I got was that they only had our primary and secondary colors of navy and white, while I and some other students I talked to really liked how the current uniforms have a tertiary color in there. That's like a lighter blue to balance it out. The primary design was also mostly white, where, right, for the general marchers, and right now, it is our drum major uniforms that are the mostly white color, and I wanted to keep that to honor the old uniforms. So for the general marching uniforms, instead of having an all-navy uniform, we decided to add in the third color.
When you
and
say we, who is we?
We is the marching band staff, and then the kids we had, when they brought this sample in, the kids tried it on and gave me their feedback, and our patrons, some of them are in the audience right now, I was sending these designs to everybody. I think we had about 10 designs that we were sending around. And yeah, you can see in the photo, there's way more light blue than on the design because we added some more, but I chose that specific shade because it matched the gradient on the sleeve that was there before, that was on the design. So if I wanted a tertiary color, figured that would be the most reasonable one since it was already somewhere else on the uniform. Yeah, that was my reasoning for adding
North
the light
Farmington, if I were to just look, I would have assumed that their colors were black and silver instead of brown and gold. Again, they look great. I'm no fan of the brown and gold. I'm just asking.
So my name's Peggy Babcock. I'm the band director at North Farmington. I'm happy to talk about that. It's a little hard to tell from the picture, but if you look in the the triangle design that's running up the side, that's actually, there's bronze and metallic gold in there, and so the bronze is the metallic brown, if you will. It's hard to see in the rendering, but it is there as an accent color, which is actually how brown was used on the current uniforms. If you look at our current uniforms, the jacket is white, and it has a brown and gold accent trim. It just wasn't metallic in the current ones, and we went to more of a metallic look because it catches the light when you're marching at night and you're in the stadium, and it catches the light. So it really pops when you're in a situation like that. But it's there. We, like Farmington, had a committee, and the initial committee that was looking at the original designs and having input included staff, included parents, included our uniform committee, and also students, but some of whom have graduated, some of whom are still there, to get their input on the design. In fact, when we first started this, there wasn't any white on the current jacket. Some of that is because it can be difficult to clean. It can be a problem when you sit in the stands that are made out of aluminum, and then you get aluminum oxide on them. It's a little hard to clean, but the students thought that was really important to have that, and with the current print technology that you can get in some of these designs, you can now do a gradient. So ours, the jackets you see go from black to white, and that's kind of a nod to our current uniforms. And then the accent colors are the gold and the bronze, which is, like I said, the metallic brown, which is how the school colors were used in the current uniforms as well.
How many students are included on the committee?
On the official committee, initially there were 2. Then we had, one graduate out and was replaced. So 2 students on the committee. Now, students who had input, same thing when we had the samples come in. I probably had 15 students try them on who were, current marching band members. I had students try them on with drum harnesses to see how they fit. I had sousaphone players try them on. I had, tall, short. I had all kinds of students try it on, and then I had them complete a survey. What did they like about the different samples? What did they not like, both from a design and from a fit standpoint, so that they could say, they liked certain hats better than others, the shakos that they're wearing, based on the shape, how stable they were. They liked certain design elements better than others. And then they were also functionality, which ones were easier to move in, were there ones that caused problems, from a mechanical standpoint because of what they have to do in them. And so I had student input on all of that as well.
How many students do we have in the program?
In the marching band, currently, We are in the 70 to 80 range in any given year in the last 5 years. So projected to get a little bit bigger with a larger group coming up from the middle schools. And when we order uniforms, we went for 15 to 20% over, so that, to fit sizing.
Yeah.
So with us, it was 150.
I would feel good about, if it's possible, before we vote on this, to get a little bit more student voice, if it were possible, just to make sure that especially at the 9th and 10th grade, we're going to have these uniforms for the next, maybe 2 decades. And I want to make sure that, our young people get excited about it. I'm sure they'll be excited about new uniforms, but specifically around the design, this is a pretty big investment, and I want to make sure that they would be happy with it. Did you have a comment?
It was you already hit on it about the 15 to 20 year. Are we doing, is there like a regulation or is it style? Because I would hate to have like something that's like, kind of 15, 20 years, you look like, my parents.
So the challenges with each design cycle is coming into today, but also planning for the future and the identity of the group in addition to the music selection and performance. And so the expectation of wear on an item like this is 10 to 12. We took ours a little bit longer this time round, and so our goal would be to try to financially plan out when the next renewal are. It's normal for bands to hold on to uniforms for this period of time. So what I always feel like is there's a really nice balance of future but connection to tradition that happens in these. Just as a side note, we've gone from concept to sample. DeMoulin has come in and comes in person, does varieties of fitting to ensure all sizes, making sure that it fits and does everything that it needs to do. It makes those adjustments, and then and good news is there's no alterations because there are snaps. So we can adjust the height of the length of the legs.
Oh, that's good.
Is that if we went back to design, we would certainly not have these available for next season because any change would have to potentially be, if it was significant, be a new sample, a new fitting, and we would certainly not have them for the new season. That doesn't mean I don't want you to make the choice that's comfortable for you, but just to understand getting it in for the season, even if we delayed into April, we would most likely not get them till September. And once the season starts, you don't change out your uniform. So we would have them for the following year, certainly, but just to understand those constraints as you guys have your discussion.
Yeah, I'm not asking us to go back to the design phase. I'm just asking to ensure that the young people who are going to be wearing them are excited about them and are not, I would not be caught dead in this uniform kind of thing. And you're right, that's what I'm just trying to just test for, not necessarily go back to the design. Now, if they do say I wouldn't be caught dead in this uniform, then perhaps we shouldn't.
Get some information between now and the next meeting.
That's just me. That's just, one person speaking. Mrs. Heinrich.
I have one comment and 2 questions. Anyways, I was excited to hear about the snaps for the hymns because my daughter was in the marching band, and I just remember, especially with the freshman boys, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, they just, all their pants are like pedal pushers in the spring. So, yeah, and, they're like too short for those that don't know what pedal pushers are. The question, I'm looking at those hats. So what is like the stuff on the top of the hats, like the white stuff? Are those like feathers or fluff or the plumes?
Yes, they are. They're feathers.
So what are they made of? And are they like attached or do they like stick on?
They're in the current ones.
They're in the current ones too? Because I lived with teenagers, and are teenagers going to take care of those
Our
hats?
marching band students make a lot. They have such an investment in their musical pieces, their performance, and their attire. These are coveted items that are taken care of, and our patrons also help with ensuring things are maintained in terms of cleanness, et cetera.
Okay, all right. So they're known to be durable and lasting, and they are going to last for 20 years? Or can we get replacement parts for the
The goal is 10 to 20 if
feathers?
we can stay within the general lifespan, but we always see if it's still working for us or not.
Yeah, as for the, the plumes on the top of the hats, they are kept in, paper towel tubes, and they're kept in those, and they're only ever used for when we perform, and then they go right back into the tubes, and they're not touched until the next performance.
Oh.
That is the one part of the uniform where pretty much the kids don't touch them, except for right when they're about to go on the field. So thankfully, that system helps their longevity with the plumes that we have, just to clear up how those work.
Yeah, because I know we already bought rain jackets, but I'm like, those little plumes aren't going to fit underneath the hood. Okay, so you don't wear the plumes in the rain?
Correct.
Okay. So the other question is, because my daughter was in color guard, so, and I'm sorry I didn't ask this earlier, but I just thought about, so what about color guard?
So color guard doesn't necessarily go through the same level of design process, so that was not included in this proposal. We are having conversations around the color guard update. The color guard uniforms are costumes are much less expensive, would not come up to a range of this high. You're looking under probably between both schools, under 10, 12,000.
Okay.
So those are conversations we're having, but are a separate discussion than this particular design, just because of the work going into this.
So will they be updated along with the uniforms?
Yes, we will be updating
Okay.
those, but it's a separate purchase.
Okay.
And it doesn't come within the bid limit and pieces where you really have to take a look like you are today.
Okay, all right, so that's helpful, so thank you.
Mr. Restinto?
I just had a quick comment. I like how you incorporated the lighting and the reflection as we have also approved new lights at the stadiums. I think that'll work out well. I think the designs are very cool and sleek, and I'm sure that's updated material from 10, 15 years ago. And I know we also did update the orchestra and band uniforms recently. And I would also remind folks, if we were to ask our football teams to wear uniforms from 10 years ago, they would be going crazy. So I fully support this activity.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the
your time
spirited
today.
conversation. Obviously, this is, I think this is really important to young people, so it makes it really important to me, too. So thank you for the presentation and the work done to make sure that we get to a good outcome. These look really, really nice.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for all of your work.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to move to a review of structured cabling recommendation. Ooh, this is
Probably not as flashy as the last
as the last one, yeah.
But I'd like to welcome up, actually for the next two, the review of the structural cabling as well as the network electronics, Mr. Wes Prescott, who's our technology director, along with Amy Cecina.
Good evening. We have Amy Cecina, Dan Queck, and Drew Youngstrom from Plant Moran here tonight. So they're going to explain kind of the process and how we came to our recommendation. We had a whole team that kind of worked on this, from Patrick Gregory, who is our senior technology coordinator, Matt Liederman, our network administrator, and Eric Marinelli, who's one of our senior network engineers, all helped pull the information together that we needed for this proposal, or for both of these recommendations, I should say. They're also utilizing E-rate funding, which I was asked to give a brief overview of this evening. We could talk for hours on all of the intricacies, but the E-rate program is essentially a federally funded program. It's funded by the FCC, and it's run through the Universal Service Administration Company, or commonly known as USAC. And it operates on a 5-year cycle. So every 5 years, districts are given a certain allotment of money to use on E-rate eligible projects. So an E-rate project is any project that's getting internet to a device. So it doesn't pay for devices, it doesn't pay for computers, excuse me, it pays to get the internet into the building and to the device. So to a wireless access point or a wireless access point is eligible. All the cabling and the switches behind it are eligible. So every 5 years, districts get, I think this 5-year cycle, which this is the first year, districts got just north of $200 per student to use over that 5-year cycle. And what the E-rate program does is it allows districts to get a rebate up to, the rebate's calculated loosely based on the student free and reduced count for the district. It's not correlated one-to-one. Farmington's discount is 50%. So if we have a pot of over 5 years, let's say $1.8 million, and we do $1.8 million of projects, they all get approved, we would get back $900,000 from those projects. So we're essentially getting a 50% discount. So that's how that program works. And both of these projects are E-rate eligible, and we will utilize that, that money to hopefully get back the full amount or 50% of the project. So I'll let Amy come up and kind of give you a synopsis on how we got here.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for letting us present to you today. So we have 2 projects that we're bringing for your review. One is the structured cabling, and you might remember about a year ago we brought one for the elementary buildings, and this is a very similar process. So what we did is we worked with the district technology department, with Wes, with Patrick, and with Oakland Schools as well. We walked all the buildings, all the secondary buildings, to identify every location that had a cabling drop. And so if you're looking around, it's where you would plug your phone or your computer into. It's basically whatever gets the data to you. Every wireless access point has one, every video surveillance camera has one. So it's all the cabling. So the cabling here is probably 20, 25 years old, needs to be updated to the newer standards, and that's what this process did. So we worked with the district, we marked up prints, we developed requirements, and we sent it out to vendors to bid. We did follow a specific E-rate process. Through E-rate, you have to have everything out for a month. There's certain posting rules, a variety of different requirements that we follow to make sure that you do get the funding back for that. And we got 4 bids for structured cabling back. We are recommending going with the low bid, Complete Interactive Technology. They are also the same vendor that did the elementary buildings, so it will be a nice continuity. There'll be a lot of similarities among the buildings. And just another note, while this is all the cabling, it does also refresh all of the network closets. So you've probably all seen the pictures of, on commercials where you see a closet that has all kinds of cabling, spaghetti-like. The districts are nowhere near that, but it is going to really improve them and make things a lot easier just for the day-to-day. And so it will improve that. It also improves connectivity between those closets. So again, we're recommending going with the low bid. It is the vendor that we've worked with all summer, had really, knock on wood, 0 problems working with them. Everything was done on time. They did great work. They were very responsive. And so that's the first recommendation for structured cabling. The other one is for network electronics, and that is the equipment that powers that cabling, so to speak, and that is found in every wiring closet. It really is what the intermediary that connects the district together and connects to the internet and delivers all the data through the cabling. So that typically we replace network electronics every 7 years. So we are on that 7-year cycle. The equipment, it just kind of ages out. Newer technology they also start breaking after a little while. Everything's, fine right now, but it's at the 7-year point. So we worked with the district and with IT to go through and define all the requirements. We did allow for a little bit of growth so that if there are additional cables that are put in, we can still utilize that equipment. And we got 2 bids back. We are recommending going with the low bid vendor, Delta, and the district has worked with them in the past and has been pleased with their work as well.
Yes.
To what extent does this project touch, it's for secondary buildings, so to what extent does this project touch areas such as auditoriums, gyms, right out to perhaps even the press box for football fields, because they received, to the extent that they receive data as well.
Yep, and so I apologize. The network electronics is district-wide, so that is K-12. The cabling, so we are replacing the cabling everywhere. It would touch all the auditoriums, all the gyms, all throughout the buildings. We are not touching the fiber going to the press box, but we are replacing the electronics in the press box and the electronics all throughout all the K-12 locations.
The fiber for the press box was put in about 4 years ago.
I remember that project. I wasn't sure if there was any connection or correlation between those two. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Will this project be done all in one day, or are you splitting
Good question.
this up?
So the cabling is going to be done through the summer. It'll start through E-rate. We cannot start until April 1st. And so we will kick off with on April 1st. We'll get the vendors to do some work after school hours that is completely non-disruptive, but to get them kind of prepped for the summer. All the work will occur through the summer and be completed. And then the network electronics is primarily going to occur during the summer. So the plan is to have 99% of it complete by the end of the summer with some cleanup after school starts.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm an accountant, and I just have some questions. First, I noticed that in the bids, there were some pretty large differences in cost.
There were.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I certainly don't appreciate the, differences in cable. So can you help me understand why there would be such a difference in cost?
So we noticed that as well. That particular vendor has been high in other districts that we've been working with. There's really not a good explanation. We dug into it to make sure that there is, they didn't miscalculate the number of drops, they didn't miscalculate anything else. I think that they anticipated a high amount of labor, probably throwing a lot of bodies at it, so to speak. Cabling is pretty labor intensive, and so I think they probably, have a more, I think they were anticipating more complications, whereas the current vendor knows the environment, knows what is occurring, and if you notice, the three of the vendors were all in line with each other. It was just the one that was the outlier, and we have seen them be an outlier at other districts as well.
Which for me begs the question, why would this not be a low-cost bid? Like, why wouldn't we just pick the lowest?
We are going with the lowest.
Maybe I'm looking at something different. You said Delta, right?
So there are two bids. So the cabling that you're talking about is going with Complete Interactive Technologies, which is the low bid. And then with Delta, they are the low bid as well. For the network electronics.
Oh,
so there's
right.
two different
There's
projects.
Two different, I see. Okay. Thank you for that. That's helpful. Next question is, do we need to replace every 7 years? Like, what happens if we don't?
If you don't, the updates stop coming, the equipment starts failing, the network becomes unstable. So when you're, doing state testing, all of a sudden, a whole wing of a building can't connect to the internet, cannot.
And so it's just like, boop, after 7 years, you can't use the stuff anymore.
There are certain licensing, and
Okay.
Dan, I will look for you.
Again, I'm just ignorant. So like a car, you have an average life of a car. I'm stretching mine till.
Terry, you drive yours to 100,000 miles.
It's 200,000 miles.
170 on mine.
Right now, and Olivia will keep on riding until the wheels fall off. I'm being facetious here, but, not being facetious.
Yeah, I would say it's a matter of accepting a certain level of risk. Because once you get to a certain age, again, there's the potential for equipment to fail. There's also the question of when is the end of the life going to be announced from the manufacturer, at which point they don't support it anymore, they don't give updates anymore. So typically after 7 years, it's kind of like having that car that's like, I mean, you're really pushing it. You got 350,000 miles on it. It's like, do I want to wait until I'm stuck on the side of the road, or
I hear
maybe
you.
it's time to...
It's for me, I'm trying to understand the difference between 170,000 miles and 220. That's what I'm trying to get a sense for. Like, anything over 150 is probably like pushing it, but I didn't know, and that I'm just asking the question. So,
and there are certain things that will run until we, like security cameras, for example. You know, if one breaks, we can replace it.
Right.
We don't replace those.
Right. Right.
Years. Document cameras. You know, the life cycle. Okay, yeah, 5 to 6 years. If they're still working, we're not going to replace them. The network is one thing that we don't want to gamble with too much.
yeah, and anything safety related, or, I mean, clearly, you know, you can't wear a band uniform for more than 20 years, or you shouldn't. I'm just trying to get a sense for that, so thank you for entertaining the question.
Kind of like the critical point, right? So if that fails, everything else relies on it.
Okay, gotcha, because it's, you know, pretty expensive.
It is.
Okay, all right.
But if you look at, I mean, the number of network closets and switches that we have throughout the district is...
Right. Yeah, I remember when you did it for, what was it, elementary, that this has already been done? Which one?
The structured cabling we did for elementary over the summer. The network, the switches were replacing all of them at once.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, too, that you will get 50% of that back through E-rate. So the number that you see there is the full price, but really Farmington's only paying for half of that. And if you don't use that money, it doesn't get used. It doesn't, you don't get it for not doing a project.
Okay. Thank you, you know, for answering the questions. Anybody else? Yeah.
I think you answered one of the questions, but the company you're recommending for structured cabling is the one that did the elementary buildings. And then for the network electronics proposals, there's only 2 bids as opposed to 4. Okay, and then I think you just said that they're doing all the buildings, not just the secondary. We haven't done it in the elementary.
So for the cabling, we are just doing the secondary because the elementary was done last summer.
Okay.
For the network electronics, we are doing the entire district because we have not done that yet. That's typically one where you would do the entire district at once so that you're not maintaining 2 different networks.
So is that can't be done until the cabling is completed?
No, it can be done at the same time.
So the timing, the switches are going to take a building down for the day as they go through and do that. But they're much quicker replacing switches than they are doing cabling. So the cabling, they can start, we're going to have them start running in April or after April 1st. And they'll run the cables in the evening, leaving the old ones in place. And then once school's out, they'll connect the new ones and then rip out the old ones so that we're not interrupting instruction. And that's not something that you could really do in the evening, is connect all those. So we really need there to be a break in the school year for us to be able to do the cabling.
So to do that over the summer, yeah, and thanks for explaining the E-rate. That was very detailed, so, just one other thing on the pricing that you give. You have the optional pricing for the finalist, and it's like voluntary option number 2, remove THC support contract, 7 years, and it's taking off 80,000. What is that?
Voluntary.
It's on the bottom of the E-rate.
Oh, that's the tax board, and that's because you already have it. Yeah, that's an item that was included that the district already has access to. So they don't need to buy it again.
What, I don't understand what you're trying to explain to me.
Yeah, so we typically don't do, the vendor that we work with, we typically don't do tech support. We've got a full team that is outside of our network administrator that's here full-time. We have another 20 to 25 network administrators that are on our team that help with those issues as they arise. And then if they can't solve it, then they would reach out to the vendor. But
so we don't need that?
Correct.
Okay, so we already have it, okay. All right, thank you, that makes sense.
Mr. Jacinto, did you have a question?
Just a quick comment. Coming out of the Government Relations Committee meeting, as we experienced with 31AA, how they sometimes they're trying to tie funds to policy. It did come up from the National Education Conference that the administration and the FCC are looking to screen time in general. So they want, there's, I guess they are, there's some chatter that teachers are using too much screen time. And again, they may tie E-rate funding to screen time policy. So just FYI, just something to flag. We speak about E-rate, so it's yet another way to tie.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we need to do these projects now, it's the first, year of the E-rate cycle. So we know at this point
what we have.
This year is going to be funded.
Yeah.
There could be some questions moving forward, depending on the direction the administration takes. So we want to make sure that, we need to do these now anyway, but it worked out to be great timing.
Thank you.
That was one of the things we were advocating for in Washington, to keep the E-rate. And that's why I was advocating for it, but didn't really know what it was. And didn't want to ask at that point. So that's why.
We could have a day.
Yeah, that's why I wanted the lesson from you, so thank you.
Any further questions, comments? All right, this will come up for a vote at our next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next. Do we have public comment again? So next we have our second round of public comment. If you did not speak at the first time for public comment, we invite you, if you have anything you wish to say to the board, you may do it at this time. Anyone for public comment? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we will close the second public comment period and we will move into action items. The first action item is with respect to the enhancement millage. We talked about this at our last meeting. This is not whether the board is in approval or in support of a millage at all. It is just with respect to whether the board agrees that this matter should be put to a vote and that the voters should decide. So that is what an approval of a regional enhancement millage resolution would mean. It would not mean that the board is in support of or not in support of a millage. It is whether the board is in support of this being in the hands of the voters to decide. So with that said, is there a motion? Mrs. Heinrich.
I move that the Farmington Public Schools Board of Education approve the resolution to place the Oakland Schools Regional Enhancement Millage proposal on the August 4th, 2026 ballot as presented.
Support.
There's been a motion made to approve the resolution to place the Oakland Schools Regional Enhancement Millage proposal on the August 4th, 2026 ballot as presented, made by Vice President Walker and supported by, made by Trustee Heinrich and supported by Vice President Walker. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Smith.
I do think that the voters have a right to decide if this should go on the ballot. I myself, just after running for city council and talking to members in the community, this community does not want this. But I feel that this is not a dictatorship. People should have a right to vote, whether they vote yes or no. I would be voting no. As a homeowner and a taxpayer myself, yes, I do own my home. I know a couple of you think I'm renting. I've owned 3 homes in the past 28 years here in this community. And our taxes are going up, and our money goes towards the schools. Right now, our schools are not doing well. With the leadership of Dr. Coffin and others under her leadership, we're getting there. But as you know, we have not been doing our due diligence in getting this school district where we need to go. And we were a premier district, but under Dr. Coffin and her leadership, we are growing. But, we're being taxed out of our homes. I personally pay 2 homeowners association fees, one every month, and then in January, and then in March, we pay another. And that is what the community is complaining about. We're going to be taxed out of these homes, and who's going to buy them? Our young people that have children, my 38-year-old will not move back here. My 28-year-old and my 34-year-old refuse to move back here. So at the end of the day, younger people are not going to move here, especially if we're not doing what we're supposed to do as far as our schools go. So at the end of the day, I would not be voting for this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes.
For clarity, for the way that this millage is set up, so just kind of clarify with me that everybody's going to put money in the pot, pretty much just for like Oakland County, and then everybody's going to just divide up the funds equally on every single student that's in Oakland County, or is it by school district?
I can't tell you how the money will be distributed. I have heard that it's about, on a $200,000 home, I believe it's about $100 a year. $150 annually would be what the millage would cost. I don't know how that gets distributed to school districts, but I understood that each school district would see about an increase in their per pupil of what?
About $728.
About $728.
So let's say the school districts that are smaller.
I think it's just $728 per student.
It's
On
determined by
average.
the state. In the state of Michigan, all of the tax dollars that are collected in each city, in each county, go to the state and are distributed according to that per pupil amount that the state sets. And every school district in the state of Michigan gets that same per pupil
This
amount.
is the county. This is just
This is county.
Oh, county.
It is still.
This is county.
This is just, this is a separate millage for the county.
So this is, I think, as we talked before, that the only way that we would be able to access this is through a millage, an enhancement, a regional enhancement millage through Oakland schools. This is not something Farmington could go out on their own to get.
Yes.
Just a point of order, the motion is just whether or not to put the proposal on the ballot. And it's not about whether or not we support the millage. So that'll be a discussion at a later date.
It will, but I think people want to understand, more about what is it that we're asking or approving to get voted on. So, I'm happy to answer those questions if we know the answers. But yes, you're right. This is not about whether we support it or not. It's about whether it gets on the ballot.
Right.
You're absolutely
So
right.
That's what we're voting on right now. And once it's decided whether or not it goes on the ballot, then it would be more appropriate to have those discussions about what it's going to bring.
And I think people want to know what they're approving, though, to be on the ballot. So they need a little bit more information. That may be weighing into their decision. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, and I agree, and I'm totally listening to Trustee Heinrich, I am not saying I don't want the community to make it just where it's not on there. Because this is not a dictatorship. I don't want it to be where, nope, we're not doing this. I want the people to be able to vote if they want their taxes higher or not. But I don't want that language to read one way. What I'm basically saying is, and excuse me, I don't need anybody pissing in these people's ear and telling them it's raining. I want it to be clear that your taxes on your home will be going up. So I want it to be where we know we cannot make the language be where people are not educated. And that's what we have been doing. And these taxes are going up. So that's where I'm at. I have no problem with it going on the ballot. But if you've talked to your city council members, you've talked to your legislators, which I talk to them every day, and people are against this. But if we want to put it on here, let's make sure this language is where the people know what they're getting. And then they pass it and not realize they've rung the bell and you can't stop it.
So with that said, is there any further discussion before we put it to, and I would suggest a roll call vote, please. Seeing no further discussion, can we have a roll call, Ms. Secretary?
Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Recinto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And myself, I'm a yes. President Lee?
I'm a yes, so that motion passes. Thank you very much. The next matter that we have was originally intended to be an action item. And to the extent that any member feels comfortable proposing an action today, they most certainly could. But based off of some of the questions that I've seen, I'm not sure that we're there yet. I would suggest that I read off to you what our options are, and then let's have a discussion.
Do you have to have a motion before you have a discussion?
Nope. We can just have a discussion. So pardon? What's that?
I just said we're not going to necessarily act.
Right, we don't have to act.
Send the discussion.
We can have a discussion without having a motion.
Right.
Yeah,
There's no motion right now.
there's no
Table
motion
or
right now. Anyone can make a motion if you like, but we don't have to have, we don't have to move something in order to have a discussion. We can have a discussion just like we did in item 8. So one option is to continue with the services that we have. By extending that contract, we would continue on with FPS employees for the morning who support our buildings during the day. And we have a contract with a provider in the evening, which do primarily most of the cleaning for the next day. So our afternoon, evening custodians clean the buildings for our staff in the morning. That's the model that we have right now. That current model would be essentially at the same cost. It saves $45,000 over 3 years, so we're talking about $15,000 a year, which I'm not going to spit at. That's, a lot of money, but not on a $180 million budget. So we're basically saying we're going to stay with what we are doing. We've gotten a lot of feedback on this one about the value of our people and concerns around first of all, our people and, pay rates and benefits and that sort of thing. And so I think there's still some questions that are outstanding related to that. And then also with respect to service. We've been in a situation before where we had completely outsourced and noticed that there were some quality issues. Second option is to maintain our staff and allow the current service provider to take over the equipment and supplies, which is something that the Farmington Public Schools is covering right now. That would be at a savings of about $1 million, $1.2 million, I think it is, over 3 years. So $400,000 a year in savings. Option 3 would be to outsource the whole thing, staffing and supplies and equipment, and that would be at a model that we had previously, and that would be at a savings of, I think it's $3.2 million, approximately $1 million a year. Those were the options when the school district went out to bid, as they were required to do because our current contract is ending. And so the district needs to do something, either keep it or do something else. And when they went out to consider what the next step was, these were the proposals that came back. It wasn't as if the district was saying, we want to outsource. That's not what happened. We're required to go out for a bid. So with that said, I know that there were a lot of questions that were being asked, and I think that there's been some inconsistency in, I don't want to say inconsistency in information, I think that there are some facts and some assumptions that are being made. So if you wouldn't mind, I don't want to put the Finance and Facilities Committee on the spot, but I know you guys, to start with, got a lot of questions answered. Would you mind, Mrs. Heinrich, kind of going over what you guys talked about at the Finance Committee?
Well, at the Finance Committee, one thing we asked was that Luke Cadeau or somebody from the district reach out and check the references. Okay, it's like, you know, he gave us a list of school districts that ABM is working with. Okay, so he came back with information from Ann Arbor Public Schools. They have 158 custodians through ABM across 36 buildings. They partnered with ABM since 2014, and they're currently signing another 2-year extension. They expressed satisfaction with the services provided and emphasized that success depends on holding management accountable and maintaining strong working relationships. They feel that ABM staff have built solid relationships within the district and feel like part of the organization. Another reference was Lansing Public Schools. They partner with ABM since 2024. They hired existing custodians who were in good standing, and they operate under a full ABM contract. When asked to rate the quality of work, they indicated it is 4 out of 5, with 5 being the highest possible rating. They shared that while there is always room for improvement, ABM works collaboratively with the district to continually improve services and ensure schools look their best. Regarding pride and culture, they emphasize that instilling pride is a shared priority between ABM and the district. While not every individual demonstrates the same level of engagement, they feel the majority of staff take pride in being part of the Lansing School District community. Plymouth Canton Community Schools have partnered with ABM since 2021. ABM provides all custodian services except for one in-house lead at each building. They are currently working on renewing their contract with noted areas for improvement, including translation services and stronger communication from upper management. They have 3 zone managers and account managers assigned. Overall communication is good. Morale is positive, turnover is low, and when the district requests removal of an employee, ABM honors it. Overall, they have been satisfied with the service. He said overall feedback was positive with consistent themes around communication, accountability, and partnership being the key factors in success. There was also a conversation about staff questions. Point of clarification was that the district anticipated 10 custodians who currently work on the day shift, and that was interpreted that all the custodians are going to be fired and only 10. And they said that based on surveys or whatever they had for planning purposes, they had 12 custodians that they shared an intent to retire. And so that's where those numbers came from. It didn't come from getting rid of all of the custodians.
Can I pause you on that point? So that is something that I heard a lot. So there are 22 people currently employed by the district. The messaging was that the contractor would interview and potentially take on 10, which led to the assumption that 12 would be out of a job. But that's because the assumption was based off of some modeling or surveying the district did. 12 individuals indicated that they would be retiring, but that the new company or current company would need to replace all 22. Is that correct?
So that information was, yes, so it wasn't communicated great. I'm gonna
Okay.
say that part of it. So the company will interview and accept all that want to stay. So they wrote that in their contract, so it's in there. Again, they do anticipate attrition, so in their contract, Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, but 17, they have planned for 17 of our staff, just taking in the information on people who plan to leave or retire. But if all 22 wanted to stay, all 22 would stay.
Okay, thank you.
So that was
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted, that was definitely something that I kept hearing, so I wanted to make sure that I understood.
And that was
point.
there was a question from the committee, and Luke was just sharing that, but there wasn't the other context of the board.
Yeah, those were things that we asked that the district do. We asked that the district provide a summary of the options because there was, the initial proposal had two companies. I mean, they went out with the RFP, and they had 17 proposals and 4 companies that they interviewed and then 2 companies. And so we asked the district to clarify, what do you want the board to consider? Do you want us to consider 2 companies, 1 company? And so the proposals were narrowed down to 3 choices. Okay, number 1, staying with the current model. Number 2, going with outsourcing the employees and continuing to purchase supplies and equipment. And number 3, outsourcing employees and outsourcing supplies and equipment. So those are the 3 choices. So that's what we asked the district to clarify at the meeting.
I have a question about that. May I, President Weems?
Yes.
So on page 146 of our board packet, there were 4 proposed options. One was stay with the hybrid model, Farmington pays for all equipment and consumables, or stay with the hybrid model and the outsource company pays for all the equipment and consumables. I noticed that second option is no longer an option.
Correct, because we wouldn't save any money on that option.
Oh, okay, so that's not an option.
No.
Okay, thanks.
I'd like to request some of that information that you guys developed at the committee, the references. I'd like to be able to read that information as well.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah, it was
We only made
included.
copies.
Yeah, and it was included in the weekly update.
It was.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
What?
I have copies.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I just wanted to see if there were copies that he could have, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I had a concern about we had a lot of emails, concerns about benefits. And so I went out to the ABM website and I actually pulled up a application for Farmington and listed the benefits. And so, I mean, these benefits, ABM is a national company. It says on their benefits page, they offer healthcare plans. They offer a variety of medical, dental, and vision plans, routine preventative care, telehealth, virtual coverage while you're traveling under both options. Okay, they offer life insurance with long-term care. They have a 401k. And they have an employee stock purchase plan, which public school district doesn't. And just an FYI, back when my husband worked for a company that had a stock purchase, and it actually, when we were in our lean years and it kept us, his ability to have stocks and whatever, kept us from going underwater one time. So I see that as a benefit. They offer an employee assistance program. And, they had organ donor leave, time off, they had voluntary plans depending on work status. And so those things, I mean, I don't know what's going to transfer over, but it's a company that is offering healthcare plans. And I know, like in a school district, when I worked for a public school district, our healthcare plans changed when I was an employee there. And, over the course of time in our school district, its healthcare plans are contract negotiations, and they're subject to change also. So the health care plan that we have for our employees today, I know in my working experience wasn't guaranteed, to stay the same. So that's something in any work environment or any place you work with, that there's changes and concerns about healthcare plans, but the employees would have access to health care, so they would not be losing their health care plans.
Yes, Ms. Smith.
I just don't understand why we have to even change anything. We have custodians that are reliable. They know our staff. They know these students. They don't just clean toilets. They don't. They have relationships. Many of you know, I used to work for this district, and I remember when we did outsource. Allison Robinson had guests in her building at Power. She had custodians that would walk up and, I didn't get paid to do this, but you did. She had guests in her building and had to clean toilets. You don't have that now. I was the hall monitor at Farmington Central. And the former person before John Barth took that position came over with a brown paper bag and gave it to the principal and to me. Said, could you clean these bathrooms and clean this building? I don't do bathrooms. I don't. Only at my house. We talk about health insurance. Everybody is not capable and able to have the luxury of having Blue Cross, Aetna, Medicare. You've got a staff that is not stealing from this district. Now, it was said earlier, I know where all the dead bodies are. I do. I watch staff that fed children over the weekend, or kids that couldn't afford lunch, to go into a cabinet that we never locked, to go back for that cabinet to be empty. And it was the custodians that did it. It ain't these out here. It's not the ones that we have in our schools. Some of these custodians actually help the kids open there, because you got lunch ladies that may be off somewhere talking or with another student or another incident, but these custodians will go over and open up yogurt or have conversations with kids. If you go and you listen to some of these students, they have relationships with these custodians. Your principals have relationships with these custodians. Everybody cannot be Angie Smith, the Real Housewife of Oakland County. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Everybody can't live like me. But we owe these people in this audience that are here fighting for their jobs. This is a foundation. Where it begins is with these people out here. They shovel snow, they cut grass. Actually, they ear hustle when they hear things going on, and they can go back and tell your principals. I don't want to see any of them lose their jobs. Not one. So we got a company that said, we'll take 10, but we won't take the others. As I stated at the last meeting, I've been going to a hospital. I won't say the name because I'm going to have to go back. Since December 2nd. Last week I went to the hospital and I had to spend the night in the emergency room. Those bathrooms were horrific. You could go in that bathroom before you could even go in. You could smell it. We don't have this here. Not with this staff. Not with this group. So I won't be voting to get rid of them. Yes, I have written emails. They all know I don't speak on the behalf of this board, but I do speak on the behalf of Angie Smith. I was voted single-handed, not on a slate. The people want to hear from each and every one of us, not just from one. They want to know what we all think. I'm sorry, Skylar, that I called you Ms., because I got a cousin named Skylar, so. Okay, as long as me and you, we good, okay? All right. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is, I don't want to hold up anything so that these people don't know, well, do I have a job, or what am I going to do? Because I was at that point at one particular point in time. Let's do the right thing by these people. It's a foundation. It starts with them, then your bus drivers, your lunch lady. This is a family. We are known as Farmington finest, not Farmington, forget about them and let them go. I done spelt my piece.
Thank you. If I could just respond to Ms. Smith's first question of why do we have to change? And we had to go out to bid, I think, as President Weems shared. And, as the district, we have an obligation to make sure the board can make informed decisions. And so right now, as we know, our afternoon and evening have been with ABM. And again, we have amazing people who work in our schools each and every day. We felt an obligation to bring to the board if we took those 22 positions. We made a decision. We had somebody who's been here for nearly 30 years that is going to stay. And I think, in looking at the information, we got these amazing people from GRBS and DM Burr. They transitioned over to us. And so we are thrilled about that. And so, again, it's the obligation, I feel, to bring to the board the keeping the same people and being able to do to also have some additional funding to support some of the board's initiatives. So that's what it is, to make an informed decision. So I appreciate you bringing that up about, just to clarify that for everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Ms. Smith's comments in that while I definitely still want to have some time to review the information to be as informed as possible, I really have a mindset of it ain't broke, why am I trying to fix it to some degree? I had the pleasure of working with that gentleman right there, and I believe it was this young lady over here who was bossing us around the day we were in here moving the tables around for the student roundtable. She got us busy and made me work up a sweat, not that that's all that difficult these days. But what really impressed me was it sounded like they called in a couple of other guys from another building to help get this place together quickly enough for the student roundtable to take place. And I really appreciated that level of teamwork and camaraderie and, quite frankly, the jokes that they were cracking with one another that particular day. It's just the kind of thing you want to see in a district like this. And knowing that if that's what they do for this facility, I can only imagine what they do when they have the young people that they're around on a daily basis. So I want to state publicly that I want to support anything and everything that will definitely keep these people with us in the best possible way. And I understand cost savings, I do, but there's also opportunity costs that come with people. And I want to make sure that that is considered heavily as well.
Yeah, and just to reiterate that they would have the option to stay here.
Absolutely.
Stay in their building. So I just want to make sure that there's no intent at all from the district that they would not have the current role that they have, if that's what they want. So I just want to make that very clear.
And I just want to make sure that that is clear for them.
Right, because I think that was a piece that wasn't communicated clearly on our end.
Yes, Ms. Secretary, yes.
I too appreciate having additional time to reflect on this. $1 million is $1 million. I get that. But there's a lot to be said. And again, I understand that the 22 people who are currently employed with us would stay if they so chose. But there's a piece around trust and that sense of family and that sense of camaraderie that I'm very, that we as a district and as a community value highly. Several times it's been mentioned our policy of attract, retain, and keep. And there's just something really special and valuable and important about the kinds of relationships that our custodians develop and have with our teachers, with our students, with our administrators. And I have great concern around going to a model that is fully ABM. Again, I understand the cost savings, but the stability, the consistency, the reliability, the trust, the ownership, and even if we keep these all 22 now, what about going forward? We've had, some less than ideal experiences in the past with contracting out these services, and I want our students and our teachers to be able to continue to have these kinds of relationships with our custodians, and this level of commitment and institutional knowledge. And I feel that they've been loyal to us, and that it's important that we demonstrate loyalty to them as well. So I value the role that our custodians play beyond the cleaning of our buildings, although that's very important as well, but it's bigger than that. It's more than that. And we've already attracted them. If we want to retain them and keep them, then I feel that we deserve to be loyal to them in the same ways that they've been loyal to us.
Yes. So what I understand is that we have 22 employees, custodian employees, and
During the day.
During the day.
During the day, yeah.
And 12 of them are going to retire, or we don't know that?
The committee just asked for a preliminary number.
Gotcha.
We have over 50, just so you know, we have over 50 custodians in the afternoon and evening that are part of ABM.
Okay.
So just to give you a context of that.
Gotcha. Okay, so I was just wondering if it was like the 12 that left. I just want to make sure we have some consistency with the ones that are staying, and that they're not going to be, replaced, or they're going to be shuffled around, or, that's absolutely not. Because I truly believe that they're the unsung heroes, the invisible hand that actually runs the school. Think about it. It's funny how we have the people that we always assume, I don't want to say take for granted, but a lot of us do, because if stuff is not done, and that we don't really think about, but we hand them, they have the keys to everybody's office. They have the keys to the whole building, and we need to treat them with respect and with the responsibility that they actually have. And I believe that I deal with multiple. I come in contact, I build relationships with the custodian workers. Custodian workers are the heartbeat to make sure that our schools are running well. And therefore, we always need to respect them. We always need to recognize them. And we need to treat them that they're not just like a stepchild or anything like that. They're part of our community. And we need to make sure that if they're happy, we're happy. We'll take one of them off and find out your stuff is not going to be dumped or whatnot. So
Yeah, and I don't disagree that we have amazing custodians.
Yes.
And many of them worked for a outsourced company and then stayed with us. So they were amazing when they worked for the other companies as well. I just don't want it to, we have over 50 fantastic people that serve this community in the afternoons and evenings. And so I want to make sure that the board and the community understands that, and the people that are here are absolutely amazing and were when they came to us from a company that was here working with us. So while the overall experience might not have been, it wasn't what we wanted, there were individuals who are here who were part of that. So I want to make sure that everybody realizes this isn't about good or bad or that we don't absolutely respect everything that they're doing. That was one of the first things I'll say that the committee wanted, is to ensure that the wages stay the same. And that was something we negotiated to ensure that was there, and they did do that. So that shows the value. Mr. Hull, you were there, Dr. Blau and Ms. Heinrich were there, and that was very clear of what, so to make sure they knew that they were appreciated. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Yeah, when Dr. Coffin brought up the proposal, and we said, so you want our employees to do the same job for a lower wage?
Yeah.
Not going to happen. So don't even bring it to us. So we value our employees. We really do. I'm the dinosaur on this board, and change is difficult, sort of thing. And so you have to look at things from a perspective. And so this proposal isn't asking our custodians to leave their building. It's not asking that they be reassigned or anything else. We're saying that these relationships are important and you will continue in your job. I think back when we went from, I've been around long enough where I remember when the substitutes worked for the district. Every district had their own substitutes, and then I think the state came in with this model and said, you're going with EduStaff, and we didn't have a choice. And so our substitutes had to go through, and so we contract our substitutes through EduStaff. We still have amazing substitutes. We still have people that have relationships. We still have things that are valued. Their paycheck is coming from EduStaff rather than Farmington Public Schools. And so, that was a change that was forced on the districts, but it's something that we adjusted to. I just listening to some of the things, I feel like we're getting into a battle of us against them and Farmington employees versus contract company employees, and I have a problem with that because I don't think that is the issue here. And I have a problem when we characterize, this company, our core business is education. Their core business is cleaning and providing services. And so to say that somebody that works for a company that's core business is providing cleaning services is a less than employee than somebody that works for a school district who is doing cleaning services. So this raised some concerns that I asked the district. They talked about turnover. I asked, is there any data on a turnover rate from the ABM employees? And the district said that they don't have any data showing unusually high turnover rate beyond what is typical in the custodial industry. Staffing levels have remained stable. I was concerned about complaints of the day custodians having to come in and clean up after the afternoon's custodians. And so, what's with that? Have there been complaints because we actually put in Farmington employees that are supervisors to make sure that these evening employees are doing their jobs. It's said that there have been occasional concerns with any district, no widespread or systemic complaints indicating a district-wide decline in cleanliness. So I haven't heard complaints coming through until we talked about a change. And so my question was, is there a chain of command? I mean, do principals or do teachers know? As school district, as Board of Education, we always talk about when community members come with a complaint to us, then what is our chain of command? What is our response to them? So, you know, this is bringing up, so maybe there needs some redirection here as far as how to address the problem if there is a concern. If the night custodians are not doing their job, then why are we just hearing about it now? And so, you know, is there a need for training for our staff to, don't know how to address these issues? Because I think we're all on the same team. We want our buildings clean. We want people in front of our students or interacting. And that was one of the concerns I had initially, is when you're bringing people from the outside in that are interacting with students, you know, we don't have control over who's interacting with students. And so I asked about background checks and things like that. And so it's as in EDGE's staff, they do their background checks. And so the company ABM does their background checks. And then Farmington Public Schools also does a background check. So anybody that's going to be in the building during the day will have double background checks. And then there were allegations of thefts involving the night crew. And I asked, have there been any thefts reported involving the night crew? And the response was there have been no substantiated theft cases involving the night crew have been reported. So I really think that we have to be careful in respecting our contract employees that are on the night, because I think that because they're working for a company that supplies cleaning services, their employment is not less than the custodians that work on the day staff and our employees of the Farmington Public School District. So I think that we really need to lift up and respect everybody that we have, and they're a part of the team as well as our day employees. The reason that we went to the hybrid model is because when we contracted this out, and this was before I was on the board, but there were complaints and there were problems, and the district reacted and corrected it. So this is not the same company, and we have been with ABM for 4 years, and we have not had complaints over the quality of the services as we did when this came through. So I really think it's a good idea to have some time to, you know, digest this and to listen to our employees, because we really value them. I've said enough for now.
Yep, Mr. Walker?
Respectfully, and hearing 100%, apologize for having to step away for a moment, but hearing 100% of what I heard when I walked back in, this is not by supporting the Farmington employed custodians, is not a disrespect of our night custodians in any way, shape, or form. But I think what we're doing in this moment is we're respecting the nuance difference of having a group of individuals who actually work for you and some of the different things that you bring to the table when you work for an entity. And so we're just trying to have a responded respect, understanding, and acknowledgement of that nuanced difference. When you work for an institution, especially, excuse me, when you work for an institution, especially one that has the familial situations that we have here in our district, in the manner that we do, background checks being background checks, they've been background checked through their experiences and the lack of issues that have come about as well. These are things that have to be taken into consideration when something like this has been brought to us in the manner that it has. We had to do it, as stated, no getting around that. But since we have to do it, we have to look at these nuanced differences, because as I like to say, with people who don't get it when we talk about educational institutions, we're not dealing with widgets. we're dealing with human beings and all of the nuances that they bring to the table. And so this is not a disrespect to the night staff. If we were discussing something about that with respect to the night staff, I would imagine we could be saying the same things about the night staff. But what we are talking about are the FPS employed staff. And I think I just want to keep it, I want to make sure that that distinction is made, but acknowledgement of all of what was said a moment ago, too.
And for clarifications, sorry, just quickly, so we did have a handful of our staff move from FPS employees to AVM to be in the afternoon and evening. So just, I agree with you. This isn't.
It's their choices, and that's fine. But for those who have remained, I just want to continue to have that lifted up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I appreciate your comments. I actually, I'm offended that people would just automatically assume that there was theft. We have to hold people accountable. Now, if they thought somebody was stealing, that's the principal's responsibility to find out, opposed to coming, and then we got to talk about this at the board table. Who said it was the custodian? It could have been anybody in that building. We had a gentleman stand before us and tell us last week, Luke, tell us that, well, we will, there's one group that we were looking into that could bring in an interpreter. So are we paying the interpreter too? Because those were people that, I understand that group that he was talking about, but you don't need nobody to interpret that their toilet is nasty. And at the end of the day, I speak 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Ebonics. So I don't think nobody doesn't know how to clean a toilet or to clean up 15 days of debris. We had a custodian a few years ago, before many of you were put on here, that left a cleaning solution and a teacher her eye was damaged. Damaged. And it was brushed under the rug. So instead of asking, why did theft come up when picking? Oh, well, has anybody stole anything? Who said they did it? They're not the only ones in that building. And at the end of the day, I've been at events in the evening, and I've seen how these custodians have done their job. And you still got parents that want to linger and stick around and hang around, and they got work to do. They might not get out of a building till 11 o'clock because you got somebody that don't have nothing else better to do but just stand around and talk, and knowing that they got to clean the building, and they being respectful because they are parents in this district, and they got to wait for that parent or a couple of parents to finish their gossiping or whatever they're talking about that they can do on the phone, in the car, or anywhere else. But they stay here and they do the work. They do it. We have even done it here when we've had events here. And God bless Deb, we've had parents that want to stick around and talk and talk and talk. And Deb and Rail in the back there just like, thank you, And then they still got to pick up these chairs when you will have somebody that's just going to talk and take up our time like we don't have lives and families. But then what they do, they stand in the back and they wait. And they wait. So to talk about theft, let's talk about what they have done, not what people think they have done. It's not one time that I've gone in that bathroom around there that I didn't feel comfortable. I can't say that everywhere else. I can say it about our schools. Again, this is our foundation. These are our family members. When we have that cookout every year, annual cookout with the staff, you see all of these people sitting amongst us all. As a woman, and I want to say young, seasoned. I was raised never to look down on anybody. I'm not looking down on these people. These people got a whole lot more going on than I do right now. And for all I know, we can put a company in here. Now, oh, we gonna put your people in. We got you. We got you. And then you look up and you won't see these faces anymore. I don't want that. I want all of these people to maintain their jobs. So that's where I'm at.
So I think we have, Mr.
I had one quick thing since I haven't. What I'm hearing, and I think from all the emails and the public comment, culture, community, consistency, these are all very, very important things. I know as a parent of kids in the district, I've been at places where tables have appeared for color runs when they, when a quick call. I know even at the first back to school, it was moved from an outside venue to an inside venue, and it was done like miraculously and seamlessly, I have worked with Cub Scout troops that have trashed, Forest Elementary, and in the morning come back for a donuts with daddy, and it was perfectly clean and presentable. So, it is the work that is amazing, and definitely want to make sure that all 22, are retained. And I know that, I guess it goes, beyond all that, that stuff. But I also, just make sure, that right now, nobody is losing their job, so I want to make sure that we measure that and ensure that we, we retain everybody as mentioned. And I guess it'll just have to look, for me, it's sort of on the softer things, like what you had mentioned. I've been at a place where there have been contractors alongside employees, and it was that culture piece I think you mentioned in the events, and there were times where some of our badges were blue and other ones were yellow, because they were contractors, and that was a little bit of a rub people the wrong way. Holidays were different, bonus structures were different, and even though we were working side by side, sometimes, it felt a little off, but I also want to make sure that, again, with an open mind, this could be a possibility that there are better benefits, that are better opportunities, that, that right now I'm hearing that no one's losing a job and no one's losing any pay. And no one's using their building. And so I'm just sort of making sure, I love that we have the extra time. Definitely respect them. I mean, if they work as hard as they work to get in front of this board, we all know they're amazing, because they had a great, consistent message and a very passionate message. So if they put that effort into the work, which I know they do, we definitely all need to be retained.
So if I might just maybe summarize here. The district provided us with some options because they were required to, right? And now we have to do some due diligence here in determining which path to move forward on. I am grateful and very thankful to the superintendent and her staff for answering some of the questions that we had initially. Most of the board members, if not all, were very concerned about our staff, which is why we asked the questions and got clarification on, one, ensuring that all staff would be retained, two, that all staff would be paid at the same rate, which required the district to go back and require that of the subcontractor, to understand whether there were guarantees associated with placement and maintaining in the same building. Those are all of the things that were important to us. And so I feel like as a board, we've, started to do all of those things in response to what initially was a concern for us. I think we still have some questions, inclusive of, for me, and from what I've heard from our board members, a helpful distinction between who's responsible for what. What does a daytime custodian do? What does a nighttime custodian do? It sounds like our night custodians, we thought were doing a really good job. They clean the buildings for the next day. If that's not happening, I kind of want to understand that better. I think the board wants to understand that a little bit better. I think we also want to understand what is the impact to staff. So we've got the wages to be the same, but now I'm hearing that there's some difference in benefits. We know that there are some benefits that are provided by the contractor, but like what would happen to our employees financially if there were a move? But I'm also hearing, based off of the feedback that we've gotten, both in writing and in person, that there is an element of, even if everything were the same, there's still something different about not being an FPS employee. And I can't put my finger on it, and nobody can put their finger on those kinds of things. It's not really tangible, but it's a feeling. And so I get the sense that there could be a difference in that familiar environment, that family sort of environment, that, that our folks wouldn't feel that as much. And so I don't know if that would translate into different service, despite the fact that I know that we were lucky enough to obtain some of our folks from a previous contractor. So I don't know what the service would look like if we moved back to that example. I can't say, but that's definitely a risk. It's something that I'm certainly hearing people have some concerns about, and it's something that we can't ignore. I don't think any one of us want that disconnect from people who have become a family to us. Certainly in the buildings that I'm in, I feel that. I think for me, and someone said it during a public comment period, I'm wrestling, what I'm still wrestling with, I don't know about you, is obviously there's something that big that we're giving up here. And it's not just about money, but what are we foregoing? What are our options here with respect to those potential savings? So I think on the surface, we all believe that an investment in our people is something that we would do, right? But there is a reality that this may be preventing us from investing in something else. What would that something else be? Is something I haven't heard answered here yet, and I'd like that answer myself. So I'm not really comfortable, I don't think any of us are, with losing relationships with our people. We value our people. I think when it comes down to it, we're willing to invest in our people. We've done that. We've demonstrated that we will invest in our people before. We'll continue to do that, but I think an important piece of information that I don't have right now is what would those savings be on? If it's to buy more stuff, I'm not really interested in buying more stuff. Valuing our people would be more important to me than buying stuff. I feel like that's personally what I need, is like what would that be reinvested in? And then that would help me make a better informed decision. I would suggest that board members submit any additional questions that you have, and then we'll get those answered, and then we'll have a better discussion. I feel like we're moving in the right direction here, though, in airing out, what's important to us. Anything else on that, Mr. Walker?
The table that was in the original board book, if that could be tweaked a little bit better, because when I went back to look at it again, I became a little confused because the lines did not match up. And it may sound like something very simple, but it created a layer of confusion for me because, okay, this is broken out here, but this is not broken out here. And so I'm trying to figure out where is the so-called savings based on whatever we're doing. So if there can be a more identical line-to-line comparison between the tables that could be recreated from the current tables, that would just be helpful in me translating what we're actually doing in terms of the cost situation.
Yeah, and I can, I'm sorry, I can resend that we did create that, so for that exact reason.
So the last thing I want to say, and then I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Jacinto, is I cannot underestimate, or what's the right word? I want the public to know that we received so many comments from primarily our staff about how happy they are with our people. That is extremely, it fills my heart up with great feelings that, we have that, and I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it with, Miss Haley, Miss Elise, Mr. Schuyler, Mr. Derek, Mr. Adam, Mr. Wayne, Mr. Dixon, a lot of you, and I don't want to start rambling off the list, but your colleagues, your friends in your buildings had the most beautiful things to say about your work, about who you are as people, about how you interact with our young people, and that is something that resonates with everybody here on the board, which makes this a very difficult decision. We're not there yet. I don't know where we're going to land, but please know that this is a really heavy decision, and every piece of feedback that we're getting is helping us arrive at a conclusion. And I hope you appreciate the difficult position that we're in, right, in an environment where, education is being challenged on all sides about, our achievement, our growth, and all of these things around students. This is very complicated, and I wish we could just wave a magic wand and have all of the funding that we needed to do all of our jobs, but we don't. But that said, we value you, and that's definitely coming across in I want to say hundreds of emails that we've received and read and are reading. So thank you for that. So with that, Mr. Jacinto, go ahead.
I just had a point of clarification. So we'll take this time to look at the three options as outlined that you mentioned, the keep it as it is, the outsourcing of equipment, or full outsourcing with people and equipment.
Yes.
And then after that, we would have the two companies that were provided, ADM and...
So what the district has decided was that they would recommend that we're only considering the options with the one.
Okay,
so
thank you.
we have a good understanding and
I
appreciation.
agree with that decision. Yep, I agree with that.
With the one.
Proven company.
Gotcha.
Going with a completely different company.
I 100% agree.
is not
That's what I was
something-
confused about. I didn't want to...
We're not interested in that.
I didn't want to do a twofold decision.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think, I feel like we've got good experience.
Me too.
With where we are right now.
I totally agree.
And so, I
just want to clarify.
And I appreciate where we are right now with the service that we have right now. Mr. Hull.
I think from what I'm gathering, I think we have enough information from what we have been showed on the presentation and what we have in the board to, this is coming from me, to make a decision. I mean, what else information we need for a motion? I don't understand unless we just gonna, I don't know how far we can kick this can down the road, before our, because we need to have at least our employees to have some kind of resolutions or settlement, either one way or the other. And we keep on, belittling the point or whatnot. And I think we have enough information, unless there's something that I'm not aware of.
I personally heard from a few board members at the table that they could use a little bit more time and that they had some more questions. But if someone wants to make a motion, what would happen is a motion might fail just because people are not comfortable yet making a decision. So I'm trying to wait until people feel comfortable enough to be able to weigh in on a decision. We could have a motion which could, again, like I say, fail. And just technically, you don't want to keep bringing the same motion back multiple times. So I'm hearing from folks that we wanted to wait, but we could entertain a motion. Mrs. Heinrich.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of reading the room and thinking that based on feedback from our employees and things, the concern I have is this change is going to happen, and I felt like there was a lot of misinformation. The board doesn't value the employees. Our employees are important in our buildings, and our employees are going to lose their jobs, and our night staff is inferior because they work for a contract company, and, that's the vibes that I was getting, and I just think that having some extra time just for some of the board members that need to think this over a little bit to make more of an informed decision. And I'm sure that we'll hear much more from our community based on our conversations tonight. But I want to walk away with the fact that I think everybody on this board is in agreement that we really value our employees and we really respect our employees. And our job as board members is to look at the whole picture and look at, the resources that we have to work with as a school district, and fiscal responsibility, and, is there some way that it can be a win-win for everyone? Because I don't think there should be winners and losers here. I think we should feel like on whatever decision we come to, our employees are going to walk away with feeling that, yes, we're going to have a job and we're going to continue the work we have. Our teachers are going to feel like, yes, we value these people and they're not going to be yanked out of our building. And so sometimes decisions are better when you sleep on them and sometimes they're not, sort of thing. So I would just be of the, and I'm kind of analytical, so it's like, okay, A or B, what's the thing? But I kind of feel like, based on the discussion and the feedback and stuff, just to respect the time for more space to, sleep on it.
Mrs. Smith?
I agree with Trustee Hall. I don't need any more time. We say, well, it's been stated that we need to talk to the employees. What was those emails? That was them talking to us. They told us what they felt. They told us what they wanted. So what more do we need to hear? What are we looking for? I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my neck. I'm just not. At the end of the day, these people spoke. They are here. They said what they had to say. What more do we need to hear? I mean, they have expressed, we can't keep saying our employees, but then turn around and say, well, they're not our employees, it's the district's employees. Make it make sense. They're here. They're not here because they want to watch a board meeting.
I hear you, Mrs. Smith.
They're not.
I respect that you're ready, and maybe some folks are ready, but not everyone is not ready.
President Williams, hold on 1 second. I retain my time. What I'm saying is, you cannot say that everyone wants more time. I'm speaking for me. I don't need any more time. I read all those emails till late last night. I didn't read them today because we had this board meeting, and they're here. I've already heard. So I'm saying, I know you speak on the behalf of the board, but you are not speaking on the behalf of me. I can vote tonight. That's what I'm saying.
I appreciate that. We will have an action item at our next meeting, and we'll have an opportunity for all of the board members who still have questions to get those questions answered. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, thank you for the discussion. I know that, this is a difficult decision, and I appreciate everybody's willingness to ask the questions and to have the discussion. So, With that said, we will move on to our next item, which is items from the treasurer. Mrs. Heinrich.
I move that the Board of Education approve the expenditures as outlined in the expenditure printout dated February 24th, 2026 as follows. General Fund, $13,728,524. General Fund Athletics, $136,582. Debt Fund, $500. Capital Projects 2023 Bond Fund, $518,094. Nutrition Services Fund, $541,331. Benefits Stabilization Fund, $1,624,470. Total, $16,549,501.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith to approve the expenditures. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Is there a motion for the consent agenda? Mr. Walker?
I move that the Board of Education approve the February 24th, 2026 consent agenda as follows. Item, what is that, 12A, I think it is, if I'm reading that correctly. Approval of minutes. Number 1, February 10th, 2026 regular meeting. Number 2, February 17th, 2026 Finance Facility Committee meeting. Number 3, February 19th, 2026 Policy Board Governance Committee meeting, as well as item B, personnel items.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Walker, supported by Mrs. Heinrich to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Are there any reports from board representatives? Seeing none, we will now move to the next item on our agenda, which is going to last about an hour and a half. No? Okay. We'll move to adjournment. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.